Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk coming to you live and direct on a Thursday. So glad to be with you on this Thursday edition of the program, coming to you live from West Ridge Mall in Topeka, the site of the Topeka area Catbackers event tonight. Going to be a great time if you're a K-State fan and part of the Catbackers Association to be out here. Some great guest speakers. There are going to be some silent auction items available for bid and a good time had by all up here in the food court area at the West Ridge Mall. And really the food court area, the place to be at the new and improving West Ridge Mall. All kinds of great dining options for your perhaps late lunch this hour or for dinner before the Catbackers event. Boxer Q, Rosie's Food, best tamales around. Of course, Love Me Tenders just opened, and Taco is here as well. And if you want to reach the food court, the best place to access that, if you are coming out to the event either later on today, or if you'd like to come out now, say hello to us and get a late lunch out at West Ridge Mall, park near the Petland entrance. That is the best place to park. That would be on the north side of the mall, on the second level, the Petland entrance, which is just a little bit west of the Dillard's entrance. That's where you're going to want to park, on the north side of West Ridge Mall. That'll be the easiest way to walk on over and access this part of the mall and the Topeka area Catbackers event, which will get started at 6 o'clock tonight. I'm Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis is here with me as well. Trenton Craxner's back up on Huntoon Hill. Really walking distance if you felt like walking. It's a little hot and sticky today, but you could walk from the mall to our Huntoon Hill studios. He's up there pushing buttons, turning dials, and making sure we stay on the air this afternoon. Brendan Dworzinski on vacation. He'll be back next week. We are thrilled to be with you for the next the next 4 hours. And we have lots to talk about. It might be a Royals off day, but there's plenty to discuss when it comes to the red hot Royals. The boys indeed playing some ball and taking their show on the road, starting a 3-game series in Tampa Bay tomorrow. Are the Royals for real? One ESPN writer less than convinced, although he did not make a case that convinced me for myself that he is correct and that the Royals start is more mirage than reality. But we'll tell you why one ESPN writer is concerned, and we'll do a little comparing side by side between the Royals and the first place Cleveland Guardians, as those two play a little bit of can you top this through mid-May, with the Royals still a game and a half out of first place in the Central. We'll also talk about one young Royals player who maybe needs a bit of a reset away from the big league limelight. It would be pretty similar in a lot of ways to a valued member of the pennant-winning teams of the mid-2010s being sent down as a way to try and regenerate some of the lost offense that the Royals are not getting from the league's worst offensive outfield. We'll talk about that, tell you which Royal we're talking about a little bit later on in the show. We're going to talk some Chiefs, too, as well today. Article in The Athletic regarding the best offseason move for all 32 NFL teams. The Chiefs' best move won't come as any real surprise to you, but we'll look at what Mike Sando of The Athletic believes the best move was for the Chiefs this offseason, the best move for the other AFC contenders. Which AFC contender made the best individual single move of the offseason? We'll look at the best moves for the AFC West competition as well. And one third-day draft pick that The Athletic has tabbed as a potential sleeper this year to be a big, big part of the Chiefs' plans, although one trait in particular for this player has me wondering if maybe the plan is not to rely so heavily on their contributions as a rookie. We'll get to that a little bit later on in the show. It's a Thursday, so that means we'll have the Lewis Toyota High School whip around, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about with Rick Peterson of TopSports.News, the final week of competition of the high school sports season for 2023-24. State boys golf is in the books. State softball and baseball are underway. State track is this weekend. State swimming is in the books. And also a couple of pretty big headlines that we'll get to with Pistol as well. Trey Richardson, the former Highland Park star, transferring to Washburn to continue as a two-sport athlete, and also Topeka High girls basketball hiring the Hall of Famer Ron Slaymaker, only of 87 years old, to be their new head girls basketball coach at Topeka High. We'll get Pistol's reaction to all of that at about 3:40 this afternoon on the Lewis Toyota High School Whip Around. We'll also play a little either or over under. We'll have What Is Wrong With You coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, our sports headlines, including the playoff roundup at the top of the 5 o'clock hour, and so much more. And because we are at the Topeka area Catbackers event here at West Ridge Mall, you never know who might drop by. We appreciate you for dropping by and being part of the show. Many, many ways you can consume the program, whether you're listening on 580 WIBW AM, on the FM translator, 104.9, online, worldwide at 580WIBW.com, or if you are catching the live video stream, whether you're finding that on our Twitter account, 580 Sports Talk, on our Facebook page, WIBW News, or, of course, on our YouTube channel. 580 Sports Talk is the YouTube channel. With Brendan Dworzinski out of commission, the joke is this is when we always get a bunch of YouTube subscribers. So subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't today. All you have to go do is go to YouTube, find the 580 Sports Talk channel. Just search 580 Sports Talk and click that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. The benefits for you are that you get all of our live content right to the top of your page when you go to youtube.com. And the benefit for you is you get to be part of the joke. You get to be in on the gag when we turn around. We're at 515 subscribers. At least we were when I checked this morning. When we get to a much larger number than that, when Brendan comes back, we get to all be in on the joke. So if you are not yet a subscriber to the 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel, we urge you to do that.
I believe there's a feature where you can have it notify you when we go live. So all you have to do is click the notification on your phone and you can start watching us.
That's true. There are so many benefits to being a subscriber. And again, it doesn't cost you a penny. So be a subscriber today on our YouTube page. You can interact with us today, and we always encourage your interaction, whether that's on the YouTube live chat. If you're watching along live on YouTube, you can participate in the live chat. It's always a good time over there. You can also send us messages on the Twitter or Facebook live streams as well. We see those. Or you can be in on the Top City Metal Supply text line. That's 785-272-9429. Send us a text to the Top City Metal Supply text line. We are again at the Topeka Catbackers event, and it's going to be a fun time out here today. Again, the food court of the West Ridge Mall in Topeka. The caravan for K-State Athletics has been out and about. They were in Manhattan fairly recently. They were in Kansas City, I think, last night. They have gone all over the place. They were in Scott City not long ago. My guy Adam Kadavy telling me about the, what do they call it? Oh, the nut fry. Not those kinds of nuts either. The nut fry at Scott City. All these great events that K-State coaches and personnel come out to and help promote the upcoming year. And it's exciting to be a part of that today at this moment in time for K-State athletics. Spencer, I don't mean to dismiss you from the conversation, but you're new to this, right? Yeah. So this is all sort of new to you. And I am sure that you have sensed, as I have sensed, as we all have sensed on this program, that there is a lot of excitement and a lot of momentum around K-State athletics right now. Like you feel that, I'm sure, even as an outsider. That's something you've gotten a sense of.
And I think especially it was maybe a little bleak for men's hoops a couple weeks ago. After losing the potential guys that decided to transfer elsewhere that had come and visited Manhattan. But the last week and a half, I guess now 2 weeks. Would it be 2 weeks or a week and a half? Where they've gotten 2 new transfers.
That was last week, yeah.
Yeah, last week. So then you have one guy that's going to make an instant impact next year in a chore.
Sure.
And you have the junior college transfer that can develop for a year. And
Moby Ike Garuka, yeah.
I wasn't going to try that because I messed that up.
I'm already a pro.
We were talking to Fitz. I messed that up. He's a guy that you could develop and maybe use if you have to next year, but you probably want to develop him, redshirt him for a year and with a lot of guys exhausting eligibility after next year.
So yeah, like the excitement is back a little bit. We went from it's so over to we're so back as
within the matter of like
within a week, right?
Honestly, like a month and a half.
Yeah,
because everyone was deciding to go different places, and it was like, oh, we got a couple guys.
The vision is
starting up and down, but now it's up.
Yes, the vision for the roster is starting to become a little bit clearer, starting to come into focus.
And there's one guy who is yet to make his decision specifically if he wants to come back or stay in the NBA draft.
Right. It very well could see Arthur Kaluma back in a K-State uniform next year. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that can still happen. That story is not finished being told yet, but it certainly moved in a positive direction with the addition of Achor last week. But the broader point here, which you agree with, Spencer, is that there is excitement, there is energy, there is a lot of positivity, there is a lot of confidence surrounding the direction of Kansas State athletics. And I think taking a longer view, more than just looking at what it has been in the last month and change, but just kind of a broader change in how Kansas State athletics and Kansas State fans perceive themselves and perceive what this athletic department can be. I think that 2022 was such a paradigm change for the perception of what is possible for Kansas State. The year they win the Big 12 football championship game and the year that Jerome Tang in year one took the Wildcats to the Elite Eight, 2022-2023. In this new era of the Big 12, where there is no Texas and there is no Oklahoma, and those two programs, specifically in football, but I think in a broader sense, given their pedigrees as athletic departments, it felt like that's where the power sat in this league. And now with those programs having departed to the SEC and the changing face of the Big 12 conference, and where it stands now going into its first year as a 16-team league this coming year, I think Kansas State is one of several programs, really, that sees a power vacuum at the top of the new Big 12 and doesn't see any good reasons why they can't be the program to fill it. There's no good reason why Kansas State can't be a bully in the revenue sports and the non-revenue sports in the Big 12. The reasons for that confidence, the reasons for that belief start with the people who are in charge. Gene Taylor has done a tremendous job as the athletic director at Kansas State. And look, I was here when he hired Chris Klieman. There were some rolled eyes. There were some shrugged shoulders. There was some skepticism. Did he just hire this guy because he's his buddy? Did he just hire this guy because he knows him from North Dakota State? Did we really hire the best coach for our program? I don't think anybody feels that skepticism anymore when it comes to Chris Klieman having already accomplished a Big 12 football championship, having recruited at a high level, and having the excitement going into this next season with an offense that could be among the best ever seen in Manhattan. Of course, it's not just Chris Klieman. It's the job Jerome Tang did in year one. Yes, the program's momentum took a bit of a hit last year. There were reasons beyond their control that happened. And now with they try to regroup in year three, there is again a clear vision, and there remains an excitement, a positivity, and a belief in the person that Jerome Tang is, that he's the right guy to put your chips in behind and believe in as the leader of the program.
And I think, too, he just made a longer-term commitment to staying in Manhattan.
That's right. Yes, it's not just the investment that K-State is making in the coaches and personnel. It's the investment that they're making right back in signing contract extensions, in turning down tantalizing job offers from other programs in the, we'll call for brevity's sake, the Power Two, the SEC specifically, to say, no, I believe my future is here. I believe we can do big things here. Let's make it happen here in Manhattan. So it's a two-way street. It always is. The investment you make as an institution in your coaches and leadership, and the institution and the investment that they make back into you, that's at a very high level right now in Manhattan. The NIL commitment is growing. Wildcat NIL, the money behind them is growing. The investment from fans who understand that these are the terms under which the game is being played now, and you have to invest in NIL. Fans putting their dollars behind the program, even if it's in small amounts, a little can go a long way. That growing NIL commitment gives rise.
And that's part of this event here tonight.
Yes, of course it is. Yes. New facilities. You've got the new facilities that have gone up in recent years. Obviously, the Shamrock Center at the football stadium and the brand new indoor practice facility, the new volleyball arena as well, the new soccer stadium. It's athletic department wide commitment to top of the line facilities. And of course, there's the fan support. This is something that we talked about when it comes to the Big 12 conference, that you might not have the market size. You don't have a school that's in a major, like a top 20 TV market, right? Like you don't have the presence necessarily in a big city, like USC's in Los Angeles, TV market. You have the Seattle TV market in the University of Washington, things like that, right? Like you don't have that. You have college towns that are the backbone still of the Big 12 conference. But the thing about those is what you get with that is you get devoted fans. You get diehard fans who are going to stand by their programs, who are going to watch their programs, who are going to come out to the games and pack the arenas and pack the gyms. And Kansas State stands very high on the list of programs who are committed and who have committed fan bases in this new Big 12 conference. All of those things line up to work in Kansas State's favor and to put the Wildcats among the real power players in the Big 12 conference as things move forward. It is, like I said at the top of this discussion, it's a bit of a power vacuum. There's not one program that is perfectly positioned all the way to be dominant right away in all of the revenue sports, to have way more money than anybody else does, way bigger NIL commitments than anyone else does. And look, there are a lot of schools that have some deep pockets. Obviously, Houston's got quite a sugar daddy in Tillman Fertitta, and Kansas, obviously, I don't want to ignore them necessarily. They're doing a tremendous job when it comes to their NIL commitments, and they're going to probably go into next basketball season number one in the country and in the best basketball league in the country. That in itself is no small feat. But Kansas State's in as good a spot as anybody to be a power program, a bedrock program, and a selling point nationally for the Big 12 conference. And I think that that vision is one that certainly will be shared here tonight at this Catbackers event, but it's something that I really think has energized Kansas State fans. They're excited about all of the possibilities in this new league, and they feel like, okay, for years and years, it was Nebraska football for a long time. Of course, it's always been Kansas basketball as a big bad wolf going back to the Big 8 years. And then the Big 12 was kind of Texas pushing everybody around and making decisions for everybody.
Now they're gone.
Now they're gone. Everybody's kind of on a leveler playing field. Why can't the cream that rises to the top be right here in Manhattan?
And I think you bring in quality programs to help stabilize the conference. I think that's big, is bringing in quality team programs like Arizona as a team that's you lose Texas. Texas is a big fan base. Obviously, it's big with the Big 12 being in Texas, and losing them to the SEC is huge, but you get some teams coming over to the new look conference that can help stabilize it.
We are at the Topeka area Catbackers event here at the West Ridge Mall food court. Again, if you want to have the easiest access to the food court, our recommendation is you park on the north side of the mall at the Petland entrance. Food court is open and will be throughout the event if you would like to purchase food. There will be a live and silent auction here tonight. Basketball and football coaches will be here, including some athletes as well. Willie the Wildcat, some Wildcat cheerleaders will be here as well. It's going to be a really fun night to be a part of here. The Topeka area Catbackers. The event itself gets underway in earnest at 6 p.m. tonight. And if you want more information, you can visit their website, TopekaAreaCatbackers.com. We are going to take our first break of the day. When we come back, something that we discussed with Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com as part of our Wildcat wrap-up yesterday. Friday night being a big night for college sports from one major network broadcaster, and how that could both benefit the Big 12 and maybe be a bit of a negative in some ways as well. We're going to talk about that on the other side of this break. We are just getting started on this Thursday edition of 580 Sports Talk on 580 WIBW. .29 on 580 Sports Talk. Opening hour of the show. We got a full show today. Those have kind of been few and far between in the midweeks. Every time we get to the baseball season, you have shows that are shortened for for Royals baseball, whether it's early or late. But we've got a full show for you today from 2 to 6. Here on 580 WIBW. We are live at West Ridge Mall. The Topeka area Catbackers are going to be here tonight. The 40th annual summer tour stops at West Ridge Mall in the food court tonight. Again, if you want to get to this event, right now the recommendation would be that you park at the Petland entrance on the north side of West Ridge Mall. The food court is open, will remain open throughout the evening, and of course there are going to be all kinds of great guests here at the Topeka area Catbackers Summer Tour, and live and silent auction will be part of this as well. There's also the upcoming Topeka area Catbackers golf tournament. That's scheduled for Friday, June 21st at Lake Shawnee Golf Course here in Topeka. And for more information on this and the golf tournament, all of the other events that the Catbackers put on, and to become a member, you can visit TopekaAreaCatbackers.com. Yesterday on the program, we spoke with Tim Fitzgerald. We do that every Wednesday, the Wildcat wrap-up with our friend Fitz from GoPowerCat.com. And he spoke about it yesterday, and he made it his daily delivery today over at GoPowerCat.com, talking about college sports on Friday nights on Fox. The Fox network is going to debut their College Football Friday package on September 13th, and that's the K-State Arizona game. That will be nationally broadcast network television. I'll be on the Fox network on September 13th. It will be the first game in what Fitz says is a 12-game package that includes one other Big 12 game. It's, I believe, UCF at Utah is what Fitz said in his daily delivery earlier today. So it's a lot of schools that
Utah at UCF.
Oh, it's Utah at UCF.
Yes.
Thank you.
Friday, July 20th.
Okay, yeah. I had the teams right. I had the location backwards. So it's a lot of teams that used to be in the Pac-12 and have moved now to the Big Ten, like Oregon and Washington and UCLA and USC are going to play Friday night. Not exclusively, but those are the only two Big 12 games. All the rest of them are Big 10 games, except for the finale, which is the Mountain West Championship game on Championship Week. But it's still a national spotlight for Big 12 football. Fox has Big 10 rights and Big 12 rights, and two Big 12 games are going to be part of their big new Friday night college football package. But it's not going to stop there. They're also going to do Friday night college basketball this coming season. Now, we haven't seen the basketball schedule, obviously, for the Big 12 teams. We don't know what that's going to look like for the regular season and the conference season more specifically. But Fox is going to run Friday night college basketball in prime time on the network as well. Now, again, there are other conferences that Fox Network has agreements with, most prominently the Big Ten, but also when it comes to basketball season, the Big East as well. So it remains to be seen how they're going to split the pie on those Friday nights. How many of those are going to be Big Ten games? How many of those are going to be Big East games? How many of those are going to be Big 12 games? But I would ask you this, which of those three is the better basketball conference, is the better product for basketball? It's the Big 12. Yeah. And I don't think it's particularly close either. I think the Big 12 is the best basketball conference in the country, with the Big East running strong, no question, but a much better basketball product right now than the Big 10 conference. So could we see more Big 12 basketball games potentially in that Friday night window? I don't think that necessarily that's going to be a window for basketball that is as heavy on teams that were once playing out west in the Pac-12 and have since moved. But Big 12 has some of those in Arizona, obviously a basketball program people will want to see. And I think that there's a real chance that the Fox Friday basketball could be more of a showcase for the Big 12 conference than even the football might be.
I think, too, that'll help alleviate the fact that good games have been on ESPN+. Like moving one of those games maybe to a Friday night instead of it being Saturday on ESPN+.
Now, I see what you're saying. Yeah, to have a Friday night window
television outlet
for games, it might also be a little easier for teams to play on a Friday night and then turn around and play on that Big Monday, because Big Monday is still that's the showcase Big 12 game. And I don't think that's going to change necessarily, but Big Monday's on cable. Friday night Fox College Sports is going to be on the Fox network. That is going to be national television, over-the-air television, and a chance for Big 12 basketball to be in that window. Now, the negatives for that are, I think, the same as they are for the idea of Friday night college football. And goodness knows I've spoken my piece about that. You may not want to or need to hear me rant and rave about that all over again, but I'll be succinct this time and just say that generally speaking, I think Friday night college football is not good because I think it detracts from high school football. High school has always had Friday night, and college football has your Saturday, and the NFL has your Sunday. Well, that's the way it used to be. Like those are the old days, right? Like those are the old days now. Now the NFL's got every night that they want to have a game, they do a game. Thursday and Sunday nights and Mondays. College football now is all over the place. I mean, there's college football on every night of the week except Monday, really. I mean, you get into conference season, the MAC and Conference USA play on Tuesday, Wednesday, and there's lots of Thursday night games. I mean, K-State played a Thursday night game against Oklahoma State last year.
The ESPN Thursday night game has been interesting because it's not necessarily one conference. Like 4 or 5 years ago, they started doing a Thursday night game, and it wasn't necessarily stuck to a conference.
Right. Yeah, it would just – it is kind of random. It's not necessarily just the ACC or just the Big Ten was very insistent for a long time that they weren't going to do it. And I think it was the Big Ten at first. I think they were the first ones when they started with Fox. I think this is right. I was covering Nebraska football right around when this happened. When they signed their contract with the Fox network and Fox started broadcasting the Big Ten championship game, I remember that Fox was really pushing for Friday night games. And whether they were going to put them on Fox or FS1 or the Big Ten network, they were really pushing for Friday night football. And there were a lot of programs. Nebraska, one of them, said, hell no, we don't want to play on Friday nights because Friday nights, where we're at, are big for high school football, and we don't want to detract from that. We think it hurts us to be on Friday nights. Well, now everybody else is doing it, so now it almost hurts you if you don't. It almost hurts you if you are the program that says, no, we're not going to do Friday night football. Like, you're almost in a spot now where you kind of have to say yes. Your hand is unfortunately a little bit forced when it comes to playing on Friday nights. So that is an argument, unfortunately, that I have to concede now. Like, I still believe that I wish college football would have stayed out of Friday nights, but I have to concede the argument now. Like, what's done is done.
Exactly. We got comments from Nelio on YouTube. I'd personally like to see some non-con games for Big 12 hoops programs on Fox Friday night. And then he said, this is why Fox got rid of WWE SmackDown to have college football Friday night.
Oh, yeah, Mark points that out. That is a good point. Fox lost, I don't remember. I'm not as up on the pro wrestling.
Me neither.
Brendan would definitely know. Brendan would be able to tell us. But he's obviously on vacation. He's not here today. But, yeah, the Friday night window being wide open for Fox. And now, as Fitz told us yesterday, they're pot committed to doing college athletics on Friday night. And I would think that would mean they would want marquee games and they would want marquee programs and marquee showdowns, rivalries, things like that. And I think in basketball, particularly the Big 12, is really well positioned to give Fox the product that they're looking for. But back to my point about, like, I've lost the war when it comes to high school football versus college football on Friday nights. Nelio, I think you're correct that the Friday night game is lousy. Nelio points out in the YouTube live chat, great publicity for the school, but it's lousy. It takes away from the Saturday game day feel. I agree 100%. And I also think not only that, it takes away from local high school sports. It takes away from whoever Manhattan High is going to play. I guess that would be week 2 or 3 of the high school football season. I think that's disappointing for those kids and for that program. Basketball's the same way, though, when you think about it, right? Like, when's high school basketball nights? It's Tuesday and it's Friday. So Friday night high school basketball is a big deal in a state like Kansas. And to say, hey, KU is going to play Arizona at Allen Fieldhouse on a Friday night. Like, is that going to do numbers on the Fox network? Yeah. Is Allen Fieldhouse going to sell out? Yeah. But is that a letdown for the Free State and Lawrence High and surrounding area kids who might have games that night? And now, people got to make a decision on what it is they go and see. Yeah, that is a little bit disappointing. I'm going to be against it from that perspective, no matter what. Like it's never anything I'm going to be happy about, but it's also something that I am conceding. And if it's going to happen, let's look at the ways it could really benefit the Big 12. And I think it's huge, really, for Big 12 basketball.
Yeah, I mean, and it trickles all the way down to us here at media outlets. You could have, especially for us, we could have Royals games while you have a K-State game, while we have a high school game.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that does. It
trickles everything from the top. It trickles down.
Yeah, and outlets smaller than us have even more problems. You've got fewer bodies to go if you're going to send people to cover those things, and you spread TV networks a little thin. You know, the local TV stations here in Topeka and in Kansas City and in Wichita, you spread them a little bit thin, and I don't think that's good. I think that's a negative for high school sports. But what makes more money? I'm not breaking any new ground by telling you the thing that makes the most money is the college game. So how can it be a positive for the Big 12 conference? And at least for year one, it's not a lot of Big 12 football. It's almost like the old Pac-12 after dark window on a Friday night, except it's Pac-12 teams now playing Big 10 games. Like I said, Oregon's in there. UCLA's got a home game in there. Utah, obviously, is the Big 12 program, and Arizona they used to play in that slot, that after dark slot that'll be playing games on the Fox network. But it is also big picture further evidence that the networks are all in on college sports, and that the profile of college sports, college athletics, is only going to increase, and the platform is only going to get bigger. And if you're in a league like the Big 12, going back to what we talked about at the very top of this show, you want as big a piece of a pie for yourself as you can possibly get. You want as many eyeballs, as much of that platform as you can claim. How do you do that? Build good teams and go win some games. And again, in this power vacuum of the new Big 12, Kansas State is as well positioned as any program. We'll take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. We'll come back and wrap up the 2 o'clock hour with a discussion about one Chiefs rookie that an athletic writer believes will have a major impact. And one reason why maybe he won't. We'll talk about it. We'll tell you who we're talking about as we wrap up the 2 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk after this. Sports Talk, Dan and Spencer with you today. Trenton Craxner running the board. Brendan Dworzinski on vacation. He'll be back next week. Spencer is out tomorrow. Spencer, you're leaving on a jet plane.
Yeah.
Don't know when you'll be back again. Actually, we do. You'll be back next week.
Yeah, I'll be back for Tuesday.
Are you bringing your special lady back with you, or is that for later this summer?
No, she is moving at the end of June, and will be here like the Monday of July.
End of June. Okay, so you've got a little bit more time to batch it up.
Yeah.
At your place.
Yeah, a little bit more. I can't wait for it to happen so I can finally have a dining table.
How are the TV trays treating you?
Oh,
I was able to procure you some TV trays.
They're working great.
Good.
It's just as funny when you look in. If you walk into the door at my apartment, there's just one TV tray sitting next to my futon.
And
it has.
You got everything you need.
Yeah.
I mean, you're set.
It literally looks like a bachelor pad.
It does. Yeah, you're set. It's like one of those, one of those things that goes viral, a meme or something on social media. Guys think this is an acceptable way to live, and it's like, the one chair and the shelf that the TV sits on and the one TV tray. And yes, what else do you need?
I will be coming.
Sorry, I don't have a Van Gogh hanging on the wall. Sorry, I don't have a whole garden inside. I got what I need.
I will be coming home with a new bobblehead, though.
Oh, okay.
Because I am going to an Nats.
Yeah, you got your national tickets. Who are they playing?
They are playing the Mariners.
Okay, a little interleague ball. Have you seen the Mariners in person before?
No.
See, I have seen all 30 major league teams. Something I'm pretty proud of.
Okay.
Also the Expos. If you want to be pedantic, I saw the Expos when they were the Expos back at the old Mile High Stadium when I was a kid. I am much younger than older rather than you. You are much younger than me. So I have seen all 30. Do you have a rough idea how many major league teams you've seen in person? Do you think have you seen most of the National League at least, or?
I can tell you I've seen all of the NL East.
Okay.
Probably about 10 to 12.
Okay, so you're close.
Yeah, but the problem is when I used to go to most of the Nats games, it used to be NL East.
Yeah.
Because I used to want to see them in the division against the Phillies, against the Braves, against the Mets.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Those were the in-demand games that you would want to go see. I had to check off a lot of the American League when I started working out here and going to some Royals games. I had to check off most of the Central. I had already seen the Royals, but I had to check off the Twins. I had to check off Cleveland. I had to check off the White Sox, and I had to check off the Yankees and the Orioles. And got those done within about a year and a half. So I have seen them all. So
I have been to Fenway.
Oh, you've been to Fenway?
Yeah. So when I graduated high school in 2016, we went up to. I have family in the Connecticut area and New Jersey area, and I was like, I want to go to Boston and I want to go to Fenway Park. Like that's on the list.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't even remember who the Red Sox played. It was like I was just mind blown at going to see.
Sure.
Fenway.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I probably watched in my seats a third of the game and just walked around.
Oh yeah, don't blame you. Yeah, it's living history, right?
Yeah.
Almost more museum than ballpark at this point. We wish you well in your adventure, and I hope you have a great Memorial Day weekend. And
you as well.
Yeah, we'll certainly look forward to having the whole gang back in the studio next Tuesday. We are today on location at West Ridge Mall for the Topeka area Catbackers and the 40th annual summer tour event, which starts at 6 p.m. tonight. Want to get to this from Nick Baumgartner of The Athletic before we wrap up this 2 o'clock hour. Nick Baumgartner put together a list of 2024 NFL draft sleepers who could make an instant impact as rookies. It's a lot of third-day draft picks, and one of those third-day picks that Baumgartner cites as a potential sleeper is Jaden Hicks, the rookie safety out of Washington State that Kansas City selected with the 133rd overall pick. This is what Baumgartner says about Hicks. Quote, "We'll see which position he winds up playing, and maybe that uncertainty is why Hicks fell into the 4th round. He'll be on the field somewhere for the Chiefs next season, though, even if it's as a special teams ace. The 6'2", 215-pound Hicks is a fast, explosive, and physical tweener who can play either safety spot. He was a good man coverage player in college and is a former high school cornerback, and he made 155 combined tackles over the last 2 years as a C-ball, hit-ball rover. We'll see which position he winds up playing is how this starts. And this is really kind of a mold that the Chiefs have looked to bring into their organization the last few years. L'Jarius Sneed sort of fit into that mold, where when L'Jarius Sneed was looking to break into the lineup as a young player, it wasn't really certain. Is he going to play on the outside? Is he more of a slot guy? Is he more of that third safety rover type of player? Brian Cook was a little bit similar, not so much the cornerback background for Brian Cook, but a guy who you weren't quite sure which safety role fit him best. Shamari Connor, drafted last year, brought in. Is he a corner? Is he a slot guy? Is he a safety? What is he? And I'm interested to see what the Chiefs think that Connor is long-term. I don't think we really got an answer necessarily to that question last year. They sort of plugged him in when they needed him, but they're still, I think, learning which position, which alignment is going to best suit Shamari Connor as an NFL player. And now you have Hicks, who at 6'2", 215, like that's not prototypical size for a slot corner. So I don't necessarily know if that's him, but he has some cornerback in his background. Certainly that's not too big to play outside if the Chiefs had a mind to put him there. I think his better fit is probably as a safety, but it shows again that the Chiefs aren't concerned about making you fit. They're concerned in the defensive backfield with finding where you fit.
Oh, yeah.
And finding where you're going to make the biggest impact. It feels to me like Jaden Hicks probably slots into that third safety role. I think in a best case scenario, just his physicality, his tackling ability, I think that's probably where he slots in. But given the fact that he's got all that in his background and good man coverage abilities, I wouldn't be surprised if they moved him all over the board and maybe tried to find one spot for him that makes the most sense given what they expect they're going to get from the returning corners and the returning safeties on the roster.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you on that. I think it was Nick Bolton who spoke yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that Brian Cook, who missed all of last year.
Right. Well, not all of last year, but
good
the second half, yeah.
Yeah, a good portion of last year, the playoff run to the back-to-back Super Bowls. He said he looked really good in OTAs yesterday or throughout the last couple of days.
Our friend Matt Derrick, I believe, pointed that out as well, that he noticed Cook and your guy, the former Marshall standout, Najee Johnson, both back at workouts. And those are two guys that I think are going to factor in a big way for this Chiefs defensive backfield.
I think the good thing about the Chiefs defensive backfield is they have so many options.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they're forcing two guys that need to jump up. They have so many options. Hey, can this guy jump up? Hey, could the rookies we just drafted make a jaunt and be able to start or play significant time for the team? They just have so many options in the defensive backfield that it's only helping them as they get towards the season.
Which leads me to this last point I want to make before we've got to take our break for the top of the hour. The second paragraph that Baumgartner writes about Jaden Hicks. Hicks is still young, 21 years old, and needs to get better at the little things defensively, but this is an impressive athlete who should help the defending Super Bowl champs next season and beyond. Do you happen to know, Spencer, who else was 21 years old when the Chiefs drafted them last year?
Last year.
I'll give you a hint. Felix Anudike-Uzomah. That's not a hint. That's the answer. But that is the point that I'm trying to drive at here. Felix is only 21 years old when the Chiefs drafted him. And they drafted him to a position where they were a little crowded, and they didn't lean heavily on Felix. Even as a first-round pick, they didn't really lean on him in his rookie season. To let his youth sort of develop, to let him grow as a player, to let him grow physically, I think that there's a possibility that the Chiefs like who they have on hand well enough that they don't need to lean too heavily on Jaden Hicks as a rookie, and that they can let him develop a little bit as a young player and learn those little things. And when he does take the field, he can be an impact guy for them, even if that's more year 2 and beyond than it is in year 1. That's going to do it for hour number 1 of the show. We're live at West Ridge Mall, the Topeka area Catbackers 40th annual summer tour going on starting at 6 o'clock tonight. Coming up in the 3 o'clock hour, we're going to talk some Royals baseball and talk to Rick Peterson at TopSports.News here on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk on a Thursday afternoon. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis, producer-engineer Trenton Kraxner with you on this Thursday. Brendan Wrzinski out for the rest of the week. He'll be back next week. We are coming to you live, and if you are watching our YouTube video stream, I can do the Brent Musburger. You are looking live at West Ridge Mall in Topeka, site of tonight's 40th annual Topeka Area Catbackers Summer Tour event. They are going to do it big here at the food court at West Ridge Mall tonight. There are going to be some great guests from the K-State basketball and football programs, coaches and players. Willie the Wildcat's going to be here. Of course, there will be a live and silent auction as well. Spencer, have you checked out some of the items that are up for bid in the silent auction?
I've not. I might do that during the next break.
You should do that, and maybe even get your money up and bid a little bit, because there's some pretty cool. I'm thinking about maybe getting some bids down myself. You've got some great gift certificates to local businesses both here and in Manhattan. Some really cool artwork, prints. Believe there's some autographed apparel. There's some K-State memorabilia, a couple of watches that are really slick, all kinds of cool stuff that you can come and bid on as part of that 40th annual Topeka Area Catbackers Summer Tour. The program gets underway at 6 o'clock. Again, if you are looking to get to the food court area, right now the best place to park for that is on the north side of West Ridge Mall over by the Petland exit or entrance. It's both entrance and exit.
Yeah.
But the north side of West Ridge Mall is the place you want to park for that. And the food court will be open throughout the program if you want to go get some food. And if you haven't been to the West Ridge Mall food court of late, they've got all kinds of new options to check out, from taco to Boxer Q barbecue to Rosie's Food, where they've got some unbelievable tamales. Love Me Tenders just moved in. How about chicken and waffles? You a chicken and waffles guy, Spencer?
Yes, I actually saw an article that it moved in, and it's tempting maybe.
It is very tempting, isn't it?
Post-show dinner.
Chicken and waffles is about an unbeatable combination.
Yeah.
But anyway, some great options to come and check out in the food court, the new and improved food court here at West Ridge Mall. And again, the Topeka Area Catbackers event starting at 6 p.m. tonight. For more details, visit their website, topekaareacatbackers.com. You are, as always, invited and encouraged to participate in today's edition of 580 Sports Talk. If you're watching live via our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, or on our Facebook page, WIBW News, or via Twitter, 580 Sports Talk, you can comment in the live chat. We'll see it. We'll respond. You can also text the Top City Metal Supply text line. Hit us up at 785-272-9429. That's 785-272-9429, the Top City Metal Supply text line. Coming up later on this hour, we're going to play a game of either or over-under. We're also going to speak to the great Rick Peterson of TopSports.News for this week's Lewis Toyota High School Whip-Around, the final one of the season. Next week will just be a recap of everything that's going on this weekend, and that's it for the high school sports season of 2023-2024. It all crescendos with state championship events this week. I believe, if I am hearing correctly, that Pistol is in Wichita for 5A state baseball. He's watching the Shawnee Heights Thunderbirds in action this afternoon against Spring Hill. Last I saw, they were down 2-0, but it was early. Washburn Rural Softball had an early 2-0 lead in their 6A quarterfinal. Silver Lake Softball 10-run Cheney today at the 3A state softball tournament. 10-0 win for the Lady Eagles. We will keep you posted on that as we get information from the high school baseball and softball tournaments that are ongoing today. We'll talk to Pistol about that and so much more coming up at the bottom of the hour in the Lewis Toyota High School Whip-Around. But I wanted to talk some Royals baseball to start this 3 o'clock hour. Royals are off today. 32-19 on the season, heading out on a 7-game road trip. this is the beginning of a very difficult stretch for the Royals. At the very least, a more challenging stretch schedule-wise than they have faced in their first 51 games. They're going to see some really good teams here coming up in the next 3 to 4 weeks. They're going to see the Yankees. They're going to see the Padres. They're going to Minnesota on this road trip for 4 games. First, they go to Tampa Bay, who's kind of leveled out a little bit. They struggled early on, but they've started to level out and get back towards 500 this year. Even if their pitching isn't as potent, I guess would be the way I would put it. If their pitching staff isn't as potent as it has been in recent years, that's still a threatening ball club and a ball club with a winning pedigree. And the Royals start a 3-game series with them tomorrow night at Tropicana Field. 5:50 first pitch. It's a weird time. Pregame starts at 5 o'clock, so we'll be short an hour tomorrow on 580 Sports Talk.
Yeah, 6:50 Eastern time?
6:50 Eastern time. Yeah, I don't know.
It's such an odd time. Like, I feel like anything after 45 is odd.
I couldn't tell you. I went to a game at the Trop last year. Went on a family vacation with my wife and her family. We went down to the Tampa area. We were there for a wedding, and we took a week. And I got us tickets to see the Orioles and the Rays. And I do not remember it being a weird start time like that. The midweek night game, they started like 7:15, 7:10.
Maybe they're not out of school yet.
Maybe. That could be. It could be the adjusted.
But it's a Friday, so I don't know why they would do that.
Yeah, I don't know either. The Royals will start their weekday home games at 7:10, starting at the end of this month with school out of session just about everywhere. I know that 501's out, Shawnee Heights, I believe, is out, Rural's out. I think Seaman probably is too, if everybody else in town is. So I think that's going to be coming up here. You'll see the Royals by the end of the month move their start times back to 7:10. They've been 6:40 weeknight starts for the first couple of months. Apropos of nothing, it's an off day for the Royals, and it got me thinking about a player who's had an off month and an off start to his 2024 season. A player I still very much believe in, that I still very much like to watch play, but it has been a rough go for MJ Melendez. In the month of May, in 56 plate appearances, Melendez is hitting a .182 with a 196 on base and a 309 slug. In 56 plate appearances, he has walked just once and struck out 18 times. So he's striking out close to a third of the time and has walked just one time in 56 plate appearances. And I've watched a lot of his at-bats, and the at-bats aren't getting better. He's swinging and missing and striking out at a rate that is beyond his career strikeout rate. He's not walking anywhere near as often as he typically walks. The interesting thing when you take all of his numbers and you look at the entire 2024 sample, he's actually swinging and missing 5% less than he did last year. But he's swinging at pitches out of the zone 14% more often than he did last year. So less swing and miss, but more bad swings, more non-competitive swings at pitches that are out of the zone, pitches that typically you're not going to do as much damage on. And when MJ Melendez hits the ball, his exit velocities are still really good. His quality of contact remains pretty high, not in elite company, but he makes good contact when he makes contact. But it's harder to get to that quality contact when you're not swinging at strikes, when you're swinging at pitches out of the zone. And Melendez has really expanded his zone. That's what that number tells you. If he's swinging, chase rate, they call it. You're chasing, you're swinging at pitches outside the zone. If he's doing that 14% of the time more than he was last year, that tells me you are pressing. And that's what I'm seeing from MJ Melendez, a player who's looking up at Crown Vision and seeing that batting average start with a 1 and seeing that on-base percentage in the low 2s and thinking, I have to turn this around. We're going good as a team. I have to help. I should be helping. And young players can get stuck in that and can get in a rut and can, as a result, expand their zone, expand the pitches they think they should be swinging at, and the results generally don't follow because that's not good process. I'm still buying Melendez's athleticism. I think he's a tremendous athlete. I'm buying his baseball IQ. As you well know, He's the son of a college head coach. I think that his improvement as an outfielder this season speaks to, A, his baseball ability, and B, his ability to add to and develop and sharpen his skill set and improve at this stage of his career as a player. I think he is a talented enough player to figure some things out as he goes. I don't think he's going to hit 180 the rest of the season. But I do think, given right now what I'm seeing from him, in particular the chase rate being high, I think he's a player who would benefit from a few at-bats out of the spotlight down at AAA Omaha. He's still got some options, and I think this would be the player, because you can't send Hunter Renfroe down. He's out of options.
Yeah.
Nelson Velasquez, last 2 weeks, hitting 244 with a 306 on base and a 422 slug. And look, that ain't lighting the world on fire, but it's progress. It's progress from a young player who's still pretty new to the major leagues. We're not seeing that progress with Melendez right now. I think it might behoove the Royals to let Melendez reset himself down at AAA. Now, there's an obvious parallel to be drawn here. And the parallel to draw is to Mike Moustakas. And Mike Moustakas, in his third full season as a big leaguer, he was called up, played, I think, 90 games in 2011, but his third full season as a big leaguer was 2014. Just like Melendez is this year, third full season and 25 years old. Moustakas got demoted in late May of 2014. He didn't hit a lick in April. May was even worse. He got demoted, and that's sort of part of the story. Like, there's a very clean before 2014 and after 2014 trajectory for Mike Moustakas' career. But when you go and you actually look back at what happened, other than the broad strokes, which were he got sent down, and then he came back, and then Mike Moustakas was a good player and set the team home run record, and everybody lived happily ever after. When you get beyond the broad strokes, you look at what actually happened in 2014. Moustakas was sent down for 8 games, and he tore the cover off the ball for 8 games in Omaha. And though when he came back, he was much more productive in the summer months. His June and July of 2014 were the best months of his season. He hit a wall again in August and September. He was every bit as bad in August and September of that year as he had been in April and May, which is what got him sent down in the first place.
Yeah.
Of course, fewer people noticed because the Royals were rolling and they went to the playoffs, and then he hit some big home runs in the playoffs, and they went to the World Series. And then after that, that's when Moustakas really hit the gas as a player. From his age 26 season to his age 31 season, he was an above-average offensive contributor every single game. Or every single season, I should say. Not every single game. But every single season from age 26 to age 31, Mike Moustakas was an above-average offensive player. Now, I'm not comparing. I don't think there's a comparison between the two as hitters. I think they're very different hitters. They both bat from the left side. They both got some pop. But Moustakas never had the strikeout issues that MJ Melendez has had. He's never struck out, or at least as a young player, didn't strike out at the rates that Melendez has struck out at. The flip side of that is Melendez has shown in his young career an ability to control the strike zone, draw a walk, understand what his zone is. And Moustakas was never particularly proficient at that. He wasn't a guy that had the kind of walk rates that Melendez showed in his first 2 full seasons. But it is an irresistible parallel to draw in the sense that Melendez, like Moustakas, is the one young guy who isn't pulling his weight the way that his peers are pulling their weight. By 2014, 2014 wasn't a great year for Eric Hosmer. In 2013, he was pretty good. 2014, he wasn't great. 2015, he was awesome. It was like an even odd thing for Hosmer for a really long portion of his career where he was really good in the odd years. He wasn't as good in the even years. But Hosmer had established himself by that point, and Salvador Perez had established himself by that point in 2014. And Moustakas was part of that group, but he wasn't pulling his weight. He wasn't part of that, and I wonder if that added pressure to Moustakas, feeling like, yeah, all the guys I came up through the minors with, they're all raking. They're all part of this, and I've got to get my production to match their production, and then you start to press. Melendez is in the same spot. He came up with Vinny Pasquantino. He came up playing with Bobby Witt Jr. in the minor leagues. Bobby Witt Jr. is going to be an all-star. Vinny Pasquantino is pulling his weight, driving in runs in the middle of that order. And Melendez hasn't been able to go with them. Even though Melendez had a good second half last year, he's got big league success that he can draw on. He's the one in his peer group looking up at the scoreboard and seeing a batting average that starts with a 1. And I really do think he's pressing, and I really do think he'd benefit from a little bit of time. I'm not saying the rest of the year. I'm not even saying a full month necessarily. I think it might be good for him to spend a couple of weeks out of the spotlight and just not worry about your numbers. Just go find your swing, find the success. Remember what it feels like to drive the ball, hit it hard, and then we'll get you back up.
Yeah, and that happens to a lot of players in the majors throughout their career across the whole major league system. And it just, I don't know. I feel like Contreras just kind of content with the lineup because they're winning. Content with the guys on the team. But then again, I say that, and they finally made the sour decision. So
I see what you're saying, and I do agree that the success of the team has allowed for longer leashes with guys who have struggled. Like they might have already, like if this team were kicking and screaming below 500 right now and just trying to claw their way, if they were like sitting where Detroit's sitting right now, 2 games under 500 in 4th place with the same production that they're getting from the outfield, they might have made a change. The Royals are sitting here saying, hey, look, this is a good mix right now. What we've got is working. Clubhouse vibes are great. Maybe we don't want to mess with this, and we'll just trust that MJ Melendez isn't a 180 hitter. We'll trust that Nelson Velasquez will start to make some more contact. We'll trust that Hunter Renfroe isn't completely shot as an offensive contributor. We'll trust those things, and we'll go from there. And we'll give them the rope. We'll give them the time to find themselves. But I think Melendez long-term is so important to this team because he's a young, cost-controlled player, still not yet arbitration eligible, that I really believe he's so important that it would benefit them both short and long term to get him reset down at AAA. Like, I think the best version of the Royals has him in the lineup every day going good. Like, maybe that goes without saying that, oh, yes, it's better for players to play good than it is to play bad. But no, I think he's an important cog. I think his athleticism, I think that his, for lack of a better term to use, his swagger. Like when you see Melendez when he's going good and the helmet's flying off as he's going for extra bases. He got the gold chains flying around as he's running around. Like he's got some sauce. Like he's a player with a little sauce. And I think the Royals need that. They're getting that from Maikel Garcia, like we talked about the other day. I think MJ brings that too. He brings good energy. He brings athleticism. He brings a power element from the left side. And I think that the Royals won't be at their best until MJ Melendez is going, but I don't think the current conditions are the right ones in which to get him going. I think it's worth considering the reset down in Omaha, especially because Drew Waters has performed well enough to warrant a call-up and warrant a look at the major leagues. And I also think that Velasquez's performance the last 2 weeks shows that at least one of the young outfielders is coming along well enough that they can be in the lineup every day at the big league level. So that's my thought on an off day, is that it might be time to consider sending MJ Melendez down. And it's not a knock on the player, and it's not that I don't believe long-term in MJ Melendez. I just think sometimes for a young player, you got to clear their head. You got to clear the mechanism a little bit, like they say in, oh my God, what's the name of the movie? Oh my God, Kevin Costner, For the Love of the Game. You got to clear the mechanism a little bit and find a way to get him back on track, because the Royals have 5 guys going really well right now at the top of the order. For a while there, it was just 4. Michael Massey started to swing a good bat, and he's been the solution in the 5 spot. If Velasquez can keep up the gains that he started to show he was making on this last homestand, you can bat him 6th. Kyle Isbell, I am not worried about his offense. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. I don't care what Kyle Isbell hits. I know He made a bad play in center field. Was that Tuesday night? He misplayed that line drive. It was right at him, and it went over his head that was Tuesday night with Marsh on the mound. I still think he's a good enough defender that I'm not worried about what he hits. I don't care if he hits 220. That's fine. Plus glove in center field, I'm good with that. If they get one more spot in the lineup hitting, one more out of the two, then I think they're going to really hit their stride as an offense. And I think Melendez can be that guy, but it's not happening right now. And it's worth it to see if maybe it can happen after a couple of weeks, destroying pitching in a very hitter-friendly league.
I'll tell you what, though, if you're looking at just pure numbers, Drew Waters down in AAA, he's able to hit the ball right now and get hits. He has around the same number of strikeouts that MJ Melendez has, but it's not strikeout, fly out. It's strikeout, hit.
Yeah.
Strikeout, hit. Like it's not out every time almost.
So I'm much higher long-term on Melendez than I am on Waters for that reason, that Waters to me is just going to be a guy who strikes out a lot. I don't think MJ is necessarily going to be that. His strikeout numbers have gone the wrong way. If you look at his strikeout percentages, they've trended upwards, and that's not typically what happens for young hitters. Usually they trend the other direction. You strike out a bunch as a young player, and then you kind of figure it out if you're capable, and you strike out a little less because you get a little wiser to how guys are going to pitch you. Like right now, Melendez, I think very clearly has a hole in his swing, and it's the high fastball. Like you want to beat MJ Melendez right now, elevate a fastball, and that's getting him beat over and over again. You got to find a way to make that adjustment, but it's hard to make that adjustment on the fly when you're at the big league level and you're putting a bunch of pressure on yourself. I think this is as much mental as anything, I guess is what I'm saying about Melendez. Where with Waters, like, I agree with you. The strikeouts last year were a big problem at the big league level. They continue to be an issue for him. They've been an issue for him really his entire professional career. And it's why I don't think Drew Waters long-term is an everyday player. But is he performing well enough at AAA to deserve the opportunity to prove that? I think for now he is. Give him a run of at-bats for a couple of weeks. See what it looks like. Know that you've got in Waters an above-average glove to put out there, even if he does struggle, and just see. Give him that opportunity. And then when MJ Melendez forces the issue, then you can look at Nelson Velasquez. Hey, are you still contributing? Hey, Hunter Renfroe, you still hitting $160? Like, then you force the issue a little bit. And I just think it benefits the team. It benefits Melendez. I think it's the way to go. I can't predict if Matt Quatraro is going to listen to me at all. But look, if past his prologue, sending down Mike Moustakas, it didn't immediately make him an all-star, but maybe it did help him. Maybe it did help that team in 2014 because they certainly hit the gas around late May, early June, and the rest there is history. And I think there's another level for this Royals team to get to. I think MJ Melendez is part of it. I just don't know if he should be part of it right now, given the way that he has struggled at the plate. We're going to take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, we're going to play a little either or over under. We're live at West Ridge Mall in the food court. Come and see us on this Thursday afternoon here on 580 Sports Talk. 3:32 on 580 Sports Talk, and time to play a quick game of either or and over under. Spencer, over under. We did this a couple of weeks ago. I want to revisit it again today. Over under 1.5. No, let's do 2.5. 2.5 teams from the American League Central in the Major League Baseball postseason.
I'll take the under at 2.
You'll take the under at 2. As things currently stand in the American League, your division leaders, New York, Cleveland, and Seattle. Your wild card teams as of today, going into today's action, Kansas City, Baltimore, and by half a game, Minnesota over Boston. So you like 2. I'm going to make a case for 3 real quick. My case for 3 is that I don't think Boston is going to hang around the playoff race all year. I think it's a really flawed team that just lost pitcher Garrett Whitlock probably for the season. Tampa Bay, I don't think, has the pitching horses to hang around like they typically do. Toronto, bad vibes. Good talent, bad vibes. There's a reason they're 22 and 26. Texas just got swept by the Phillies. Houston, I don't think, has the starting pitching. I think Minnesota is more likely than the teams I just mentioned to sort of sustain a second half push. And I think Cleveland and Kansas City are both kind of for real. Like, I think right now I feel good about saying, yeah, I think we could see 3 teams from the division we thought was going to be the Comedy Central in the American League postseason. Also, it bodes really, really well typically to be in playoff positioning by Memorial Day. Usually, and this was back when there used to be 10 teams in the playoffs. Now that there are 12, maybe things are a little different. But it used to be that, like, usually 8 of the 10 teams that would make the playoffs every year would be in playoff position on Memorial Day. So being where the Royals in Cleveland find themselves right now, put themselves in a really, really good spot.
Yeah, there was one team that weren't in that position, and that was 2019.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that was the Nationals. Yeah, they were one of the exceptions for sure. Like I said, they're exceptions, but it bodes well.
Yeah,
more teams in playoff position going into Memorial Day than not typically play postseason baseball.
Yeah. So mine is going to be an over-under here. We made predictions for the Royals record at the beginning of the season.
We did.
You and Brendan were more bullish than I was.
Bearish.
Yes.
I had
them.
The bear is pessimistic.
Yes.
The bull is optimistic. It took me a while to get that one straight
yes.
too.
I was more optimistic than you guys, and some people were like, "What? Why does he think they're going to make the playoffs?" In the comments, right? Mm-hmm. Well, kind of started looking good for me a couple weeks ago.
Sure.
So I think I have them at 81 and 81?
Yes, you did.
So over under the amount of wins they're going to have, 85 and a half.
85 and a half.
Again, they're on pace for around that number.
That's a good number. That's a good number to put them at. Like I said, the schedule's going to get tougher. They played to this point 36 of their first 51 games against teams with a losing record, or that presently, right now, have a losing record. Now, like, Houston's 2 hot weeks away from being in the win column, and Detroit is only 3 games under 500. But still, 500 or worse teams. Royals have played 36 of their first 51 against teams that have that kind of record. So the schedule will firm up, and it starts really with this 7-game road trip. I still think that they're right around that 86, 87. The reason I feel that can make the playoffs is because I don't think the American League maybe is as strong as we thought it was going to be going in, and that the last year it took 89 to make the playoffs in the AL, but only 84 wins in the NL. I think it might be closer to 84 and 89 get you in as one of the last wild cards this year in the American League. So 85 and a half is good, man. It's probably still more likely, like if you look at all the numbers, like the predictions, that they come in under. But what the hell? I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, I'm kind of all in. I think they're probably like about 87, 88. I'll go over.
They're on pace numbers-wise for 87 and a half wins.
That is the current pace according to
math.
According to math?
Yeah, like if you went 500. Or no, not pace. if they went 500.
If they went 500,
if they went 500
yeah.
from here on out,
yeah,
it would be 87.5, 88 wins.
I think that's doable. Like I do. I think that they are closer to, like, I thought they were. I picked them for 78 wins. I think they're much closer to true talent being on that 500 over, and they play that way the rest of the way. Yeah, 87 wins. Yeah, I'll go over.
I mean, although if they make the playoffs, I think they might be one of those teams like the Orioles were last year, where they just don't have enough veterans. They don't have enough guys that have been there.
Well, we'll see. We still got the trade deadline.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot left to be resolved. We had a commenter, and I don't mean to pick on a commenter from yesterday who might not be listening to the show or might have other things going on today. But Jayhawker, our good pal, we've met the Jayhawker who's in the YouTube live chat from time to time. And Jayhawker mentioned in the comments yesterday, he said something along those lines, like, I'm worried about like the lack of depth in the bullpen, the lack of the lineup depth is what will really hurt this team into the postseason. And on the one hand, I don't think that's wrong. On the other hand, do you realize that you are using Royals and postseason in the same sentence? How many of you Royals fans would have cut off a pinky finger for that before this season began? So, like, A, lot of ball game left, but B, like, appreciate that we're actually having these conversations and it's not a completely ridiculous thing to have the Royals in postseason in the same sense. We got to get to a break. Rick Peterson of TopSports.News joins us for the Lewis Toyota High School Whip Around next on 580 Sports Talk. are joined, as we are every Thursday at this time, by Rick Peterson of TopSports.News for the Lewis Toyota High School Whip Around. Pistol covers high school sports in Shawnee County and Washburn University athletics for TopSports.News. You can find him on Twitter at Peterson_Rick. Lot to get to, but first, where in the world, or at least where in Kansas, is Rick Peterson?
High above X Stadium.
Okay, that's 5A baseball, right?
Yes.
And Shawnee Heights in action. What can you tell us about the T-Birds this afternoon?
We're in the bottom of the sixth, and Spring Hill just went up 4-2. One out in the bottom of the sixth. Spring Hill batting.
All right, we'll get some updates on that one as things go along. It is state baseball and softball going on today, so we'll start there. Hayden in 3A going off a little bit later on for high school baseball. Over on the softball side, last I saw, Washburn Rural had an early lead, and Silver Lake with a big win. So a good start for the softball contingent from the county, Pistol.
Yeah, and Seaman will be starting anytime now over in 5A, just across the parking lot here.
So you gonna do the double dip?
Yes, most definitely.
Outstanding. We'll look forward to reading about that over at TopSports.News. This is Rick Peterson joining us for the Lewis Toyota High School Whip Around. Pistol, I want to look back and then I want to look forward. Obviously, this being the final competition week for the 2023-24 season. We'll look back to swimming and golf, girls swimming state last weekend, and strong showing from Seaman, strong showing from a couple of Washburn rural swimmers as well. What did the city contingent do at state swimming?
Well, we knew that Seaman was going to have the best chance for a team trophy, and they got a third place finish and really did well. Avery Walls led them, but they had a good they don't have a ton of depth, but they're very, very good at the top, and that was proven again with them getting third. Audrey Apin had a pair of medals to lead rural, so overall a credible showing.
Boys golf state earlier this week. They battled a little weather the week before, but got some decent weather this week in spots for the boys state tournament. And it was Care Paravel and the Hayden boys with the best team showings. And Bryce Badsky from Silver Lake capped off his career in fine style as well.
Yes, definitely. And that's good for Care Paravel. You know, they're still kind of wading into the Acacia waters, and those kids played the regular season with Topeka High's golf team, and then moved over to compete as a team in the small class in state, and did very, very well.
We're talking to Rick Peterson of TopSports.News. This is the Lewis Toyota High School Whip Around on this Thursday edition of 580 Sports Talk. State track, of course, winds down the season, the athletic year of 2023 and 2024. What are the big local storylines, the athletes, the teams that you'll be keeping the closest of eyes on at Cessna Stadium for state track?
Well, you start with Ryan Miller. She's just amazing, and she'll be in the 800, the 1600, the 3200, and anchor their mile relay. And she goes in the 3200 early tomorrow morning. Jackson Escobell of Shawnee Heights is defending 5A champ in the 3200. He goes early tomorrow morning, and then the other team that I'm looking for that I think has a very good chance to maybe get a trophy is Hayden boys. They're very good. Finn Dunshee, Jensen Strickle, and that bunch are going to be a factor.
I'll get back to the track here in just a second, Pistol, but a quick update from out at Arocha Park. Washburn Rural 2, Blue Valley 1. That is a final score. So Washburn Rural softball into the Final Four. First year under a new head coach, but it's the same old rural softball program, isn't it? Even with all of the graduation losses they've had over the last couple of years, they keep on churning out winning teams.
Yeah, that's a great win for them, and they've been second past 2 years, so they'll see if they can go to the finals again.
Back to the track and field, Pistol. I know that there have been obviously some outstanding individual performances coming from the city of Topeka in recent years. I think about Trey Richardson. I think about Mikey Hoffer, and all kinds of names that we could throw out that have really been terrific at the state meet coming from city schools. But as you look at the contingent this year, is this as strong a contingent of individuals from Shira Rayton at Topeka High to Ryan Miller, Jackson Esquivel at Shawnee Heights, Finn Dunshee at Hayden? Is this as varied a collection of individual talent with a chance to bring home a lot of individual hardware as maybe you've seen in a while?
You know, to challenge for gold medals, probably yes. You know, Topeka is always very good in track and field, and we've had a lot of greats, as you said, over the years. But yeah, because I think, you know, we could have 4, 5, 6, 7 gold medals, which is very good.
Rick Peterson of TopSports.News is our guest here on the Lewis Toyota High School Whip Around on 580 Sports Talk. Pistol, want to get some thoughts from you on some off-the-field developments, and I want to start with a name we just brought up, Trey Richardson, tremendous, decorated high school athletic career at Highland Park. Big part of the basketball team that made a deep state run, big part of Highland Park breaking their football losing streak and having their best football success in some time. Obviously a gold medalist in track, played some baseball as well. He's a 4-sport athlete at Highland Park. He's coming back home to finish his college career and play football and do track at Washburn. Your reaction when you heard this from Trey, especially given the fact that I don't know that I've ever seen an athlete go from vocalizing, yeah, that's not my favorite sport, like Trey did with track, to, no, actually, this is what I want to do in college.
Yeah, and that was funny. We were laughing about that when we talked the other night. I said, hey, you always told me you hated track, and now here you are wanting to double up. And he admitted that, you know, once he got away from it a little bit and thought back, he really did kind of miss it. So that's what led to him, you know, coming home and doubling up. And you can do that at the Division II level, and I think that's what enticed him too.
It might be starting a little bit behind the 8 ball football-wise for Trey because he didn't get a chance to get in the spring practices. But how much impact do you think he could have for the Ichabods on the gridiron for Craig Schurig this fall?
Well, right away, I think he's just one of the nation's. He was first-team All-American as a returner. So right away, you know, I think that's more instinct than, you know, you look for the ball, you catch the ball, and you run. I think he can do those things. So I think he'll be an immediate impact there. They'll probably have to, you know, teach him a little bit about their offense and as a receiver, and he'll also be used a little bit as a running back. But I look for him to make a huge impact.
Just a couple of more questions for Rick Peterson of TopSports.News as we wind down the Lewis Toyota High School Whip Around here on 580 Sports Talk. Last week we had you on and you told us that news was impending on the Topeka High girls basketball coaching vacancy. That news arrived. The new Lady Trojans head coach is the Hall of Famer Ron Slaymaker, 87 years of age, fresh off 3 years, back-to-back state appearances coaching the Olpe girls. He's going to lead the program in girls basketball at Topeka High. I got to admit, I did not see that coming. And obviously, the resume for Ron Slaymaker speaks for itself. I mean, gosh, they've named the court after him at White Auditorium in Emporia, where he coached the men's program for such a long time. But is this one of the more out of left field, surprising hires that you can recall?
Yes, definitely. That's a good way to put it, out of left field. I just didn't know, you know, I knew that High had, you know, didn't get the number of applicants and you know, and qualified applicants that they wanted. So that's what kind of drug it out a little bit. But I was surprised that that Ron wanted one to stay in coaching and two come to Topeka High. So it did surprise me. I've been sitting on it a while, but when it first came up 2-3 weeks ago, it definitely surprised me.
He had been coaching girls basketball at the high school level. He's not entirely new to it. Obviously, the last 3 years at Olpe, he'd been at Chase County as well. But Topeka High,
years,
very different than those. Yeah, but Topeka High, very different than those programs. This is a brand new challenge in a way, and I have to think that there's something invigorating about a new challenge, even for a coach who's been as successful and won as much as Ron Slaymaker has.
Well, that's what he said. He said it was a challenge, and he said he thought it was a good challenge because good things were waiting to happen. So we'll see. He's going to be able to stay in Topeka so he doesn't have to drive back and forth to Emporia every day. So, and I think, when we talked for, a good 20 minutes last week, and he was just really excited.
It will be a fascinating storyline to follow next fall, but of course, the athletic year of 2023-24 still has some meat on the bone with state baseball and softball and track wrapping up this weekend. You can read all about it at TopSports.News from Rick Peterson. Follow him on Twitter at Peterson_Rick. Pistol, before we let you go, one last update on the Spring Hill Shawnee Heights baseball game. Where does it stand now?
We are 5-2 with 0 out in the top of the 7th. So Shawnee Heights is down to their last at bat.
Last chance saloon for the T-Birds, but they've been in that situation before and rallied, and we'll see if they've got a rally in them for their outgoing head coach one final time down there at X Stadium. And, of course, we'll read all about it on TopSports.News. Rick, thanks so much for the time, as always. We'll talk to you next week and wrap it up.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That is Rick Peterson of TopSports.News. That is the Lewis Toyota High School Whip Around on 580 Sports Talk. Always a joy, and one of those, this time of year especially, this particular high school whip around, we could have gone for an hour probably because there's so much going on. There's so many athletes with state championship aspirations on the track side that we talked about, and of course the Ron Slaymaker hire is a fascinating story, and it's going to be so interesting to watch how a coach of his pedigree and his history does with a Topeka High girls program that is not far removed from state tournament appearances and probably would have won the whole thing with Nyjah Kennedy and company back in the COVID-shortened 2020 tournament, but they're also not far removed from not having a whole lot of bodies on the varsity roster last year. So that is going to be one of the most interesting storylines to follow along with in the next athletic year of high school sports here in the capital city. That's going to do it for the 3 o'clock hour. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, what have been the best moves AFC teams have made this offseason? Plus, what is wrong with you and more, live from West Ridge Mall at the Topeka area Catbackers 40th annual summer tour stop on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 3 on this Thursday on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis, Trenton Craxner behind the glass at the Huntoon Hill Studios. Spencer and I are live at the West Ridge Mall Food Court. It is the site of the Topeka area Catbackers 40th Annual Summer Tour. Program gets underway at 6 p.m. tonight. Food court will be open throughout. It will be the traditional summer tour event with coaches and players from basketball and football programs, Willie the Wildcat, cheerleaders, and, of course, the live and silent auctions as well. All part of this great event that supports the Topeka area Catbackers. The live auction proceeds go towards the annual scholarship fund. Last year, the club was able to award their 6th annual scholarship to a local student that is attending K-State this year. So it's a great cause. It's a great time. It's a great opportunity to celebrate K-State. If you're a Wildcat fan, if you want to be part of the Topeka area Catbackers, or learn more information about this or other upcoming events, including the golf tournament scheduled for Friday, June 21st, go visit them online at TopekaAreaCatbackers.com. You don't need to come out to the event to need a reason to visit the new and improved food court here at West Ridge Mall. You can see some places that have moved into this food court, including Taco, Rosie's, Boxer Q Barbecue, and Love Me Tenders, the newest edition with the chicken and waffles. That's all available at the food court. It'll be open throughout the Topeka area Catbackers event, but they're also open right now if you want to come and check them out here at West Ridge Mall. We appreciate the Catbackers and West Ridge Mall for having us out here this afternoon. We appreciate you for listening. Whether you're tuned in on 580 WIBW or FM 104.9, if you're listening online at 580WIBW.com, or if you're watching the video stream on our YouTube page, 580 Sports Talk, on our Facebook page, WIBW News, or on our Twitter account, 580 Sports Talk. We welcome you. We appreciate you. We have added 3 new subscribers today to the 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel. Again, that is a long occurring running joke on this program, is that it takes Brendan Wierzinski being gone. He's on vacation the rest of the week. He'll be back next week. It takes Brendan being gone for people to want to sign up and be subscribers to the 580 Sports Talk YouTube page. We don't know why it's the way it is. We just know that's the way it is. So now we encourage the behavior. We encourage that behavior from you, the listeners, that if you are not yet subscribed to our YouTube, 580 Sports Talk, go to youtube.com or the YouTube app on your phone or tablet or however you consume YouTube. Search for 580 Sports Talk and click that subscribe link. It'll help you receive all of our live content. It will help notify you when we are about to go live, whether it's with 580 Sports Talk or with any of the other live programming we do on the YouTube page. And it will make Brendan very annoyed, and that's what we're here for. We really enjoy annoying Brendan, kind of jabbing at him a little bit while he's not around. So go subscribe to the YouTube page if you have not yet. That's youtube.com/580 Sports Talk. We're at West Ridge Mall. Spencer, malls are places where people come to shop.
Yes.
You being very Gen Y, I wasn't sure, the mall has really kind of had its moment in the 80s, and I'm even too young for that, but just making sure that you understood what a mall was, given how young you are.
I think it was very prominent in the early 2000s when I was a kid and being trotted along with my mother.
I know you're
places.
I know you're not actually like 6 years old. I'm just giving you a hard time. That's how old I feel sometimes. But anyway, we are at the West Ridge Mall. We do encourage you folks, particularly if you haven't checked out the new food court. Love Me Tenders is new. Boxer Q Barbecue is new. Rosie's is new. Taco just moved in as well not long ago, and they are serving up some grub this afternoon and evening, and we'll be serving throughout the Topeka area Catbackers 40th Annual Summer Tour event tonight. We're going to get a little bit more information on that later on this hour. Talk to one of the members of the Topeka area Catbackers, and they'll tell you who you're going to see tonight if you come out to the event and the benefits of being a member of the Catbackers. That's all coming up. So is What Is Wrong With You later this hour.
And the mall itself is going through a revitalization period. And we talked to, I believe, the general manager of the mall before we went on the air. And
yes,
there's just a lot of stuff going into it right now and trying to make it a 21st century plus thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Because malls are, as you just said, do you even know what a mall is?
Yes, give me a hard time.
We're trying to make sure people still know what malls are.
Yes, so that in 20 years you can make the same joke.
Yes.
And people will say, yeah, I know what a mall is, doofus, and go from there. But no, coming out and see us at West Ridge Mall today. It's been a steady flow of people coming through and walking by, and we've seen some friendly faces, and would love to see you if you want to come out here and see us. We're at the food court today at West Ridge Mall. They are recommending that you park on the north side of the mall near the Petland entrance for the easiest access to the food court today, at least for the time being. So if you are wanting to come by, just do keep that in mind. Like I said, we'll have What Is Wrong With You coming up a little bit later on in the show. Still to come, we got a whole half of the program left. We're going to do our headlines in the 5 o'clock hour, including the playoff roundup, and lots of KU basketball scheduling news today. We'll also discuss one ESPN writer who doesn't quite believe yet in the Kansas City Royals. Yet he believes in the Cleveland Guardians, and they're a lot more similar than they are different. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show as well. But I wanted to begin this hour by talking a little football. Mike Sando of The Athletic published his list today of the best offseason moves for all 32 teams. Care to guess which move is the best move? Let me phrase it differently. What move do you think is the best move the Chiefs have made so far this offseason, Spencer?
Well, they've made quite a few moves.
They
correct?
have.
They sent away a player in which probably wasn't going to sign a long-term contract.
Well, Jerry Sneed traded him, yeah.
They traded him. They re-signed the role players that were on one-year deals on their defensive line.
They did. They brought the defensive line back virtually intact, the depth on the line.
They gave Travis Kelce a new contract.
That they did.
They also re-signed their best defensive lineman in Chris Jones.
Yes, they did.
Which I'm assuming that's what it is.
That is Mike Sando's choice. I was asking you, what do you think is the best move?
I think that's the best.
That's what Mike Sando thinks.
I think you combine it with the whole defensive line. I think making it a priority to keep that line, that unit intact.
I would not have guessed that they would have been able to bring back Chris Jones and Mike Dana, and also the depth guys like Kirk Wharton. I thought for sure was going to get a multi-year deal somewhere. Mike Pennell was not a guy I thought that was going to come back, but Mike Pennell he's like a 6-week player at the end of the year, right? You don't bring him in thinking, oh, this guy is going to play 30% of our snaps from week 1 to week 17. This is somebody we like to have around, and when it's winning time, this is a player that helps us, that we know can help us win a championship. They in basketball, they refer to, you have your 82-game players and you have your 16-game players. You have your 82-game players. Those are the guys that help you win regular season games. And you have your 16-game players. You have your guys who help you win in the playoffs. I don't think there's a football equivalent. I don't think you have 17-game players and 3-game players. But if you did, Mike Pennell would be a 3-game player. Mike Pennell has been a guy in 2 separate Super Bowl runs now who's been really helpful to the team in January. So they brought him back. Derek Nottie is back as well. They brought that whole group back virtually intact. Charles Amena, who's on the second year of his deal. A lot of the other guys.
Which we won't see him probably till the back half.
If we see him even before the playoffs. I mean, tore up the knee in the AFC Championship game. It's hard to say. There's no real timetable right now for when Charles Omenihu is going to get back on the field. But obviously, George Karlaftis is still on a rookie deal. Felix Anudike-Uzomah is still on a rookie deal. That whole group is back. And the biggest piece of that, of course, is Chris Jones. And that was Mike Sando's choice for the best move that the Chiefs have made this offseason. Sando writes, quote, keeping Chris Jones was critical for the defense, even if it meant trading L'Jarius Sneed to the Titans instead of paying him as well. Kansas City has picked its spots in terms of making some moves for the long term, trading Tyreek Hill, and others for the short term, opening the checkbook for Jones. It's hard to dispute Jones's value to the defense, especially in critical situations. Keeping him gives the Chiefs their best shot at winning a third consecutive Super Bowl. The Chiefs' recent track record developing cornerbacks suggests they'll be able to replace Snead. I don't think we need to hammer that point because we have discussed over time the ability that Kansas City has shown to find diamonds in the rough at defensive back late in the draft or even undrafted and develop them into starting caliber players. In Snead's place, developing him into an all-pro caliber player. But there is a big difference, I think, between L'Jarius Snead, who played at that level last year, played at the level of an all-pro for one season, and Chris Jones, who has played for multiple seasons now at the level of an all-pro and has done it at a more premium position. Like, you ask me, you charge me with building a defense. You say, you're going to build a defense. You're going to build a championship caliber defense. And you have to start with a certain position on the field. What are you starting your defense build with? Not a specific player. I'm talking about a role. Where do you start building a defense? What's the most important thing you can have to be successful on defense?
Personally, I think a core leader at the middle linebacker spot. That can run the.
That's so interesting you say that. I think that's a very. I don't agree. Like, I see why you're saying that. And I think that you would have some people who would agree with you. And I think the Chiefs have that guy in Nick Bolton. And it's a great thing to have, is the connective tissue, the quarterback of the defense.
I think the reason I say that is because there's a lot of times where you can be a great linebacker at your specific role, but most of the time the middle linebacker, as it pertains to a defense, is the guy with the green dot with the mic that is calling out what his defensive coordinator is telling him to the rest of the defense.
Right.
And I've seen that fail, particularly with my favorite team in the Commanders. They tried Jamin Davis to be that guy because they usually only went with one. They would rotate their middle linebacker, and Jamin Davis as an outside guy would be on the field most of the time. They would just rotate the linebacker. So they had to get a guy that would be on the field 99% of the time, which was Jamin Davis. And it failed. He just wasn't a leader enough to put it out to everybody of all the rest of the 10 guys.
And that's a valid point. And I understand your argument. I think if you're building a championship defense, if we're just talking about where you want to have the high level talent, the high level production, for me, it's pass rush. For me, defense in the NFL starts with affecting the quarterback. Starts with affecting the timing of the other team's passing game. If you can't do that, you're not going to get stops. You're not going to get off the field on third down. You're not going to keep the other team from driving the ball down the field. For me, it's all about the pass rush. And as nice as it is to have elite guys on the edge, having an elite interior pass rusher does so much for you because, frankly, there are only but a handful of those guys. And the Chiefs have one in Chris Jones. And having him in place has been, I think, the biggest reason that everything else works the way it does for the Chiefs on defense. Because when you look at their personnel, it's not a bunch of blue chip first-round picks. It's not a bunch of high-dollar free agents. It's a lot of guys, a lot of second-day picks, third-day picks, even Chris Jones is a second-day pick, right? But having Jones in the middle be so disruptive, it makes your edge rushers play up when they're not the ones being double-teamed. It makes Karlaftis more effective. It makes Dana more effective. It's going to make Felix more effective when he's in the Amenahu role this year. And if the pass rush is more effective, then the secondary is more effective because they don't have to cover as long. They can take more chances in coverage. It all, to me, starts in the trenches. And for the Chiefs, I really believe it all starts with Chris Jones. I think he is the most important guy. He may not be the leader. He may not be like Nick Bolton's the connective tissue. I agree with that 100%, that the role of the middle linebacker is super important. And it's Steve Spagnuolo would, I think, be the first to say that Nick Bolton makes a lot of what the Chiefs do work because of his ability to communicate, because of his experience, because of his smarts in the middle of that defense. But Chris Jones is the elite guy in a role where there are only but so many elite guys. And I really do believe that keeping him was so vital to this team having any success, being able to defend for a third time a Super Bowl championship. So I thought that Sando had that right. If you think Chris Jones is the best move they've made this offseason, what do you think is the second best move the Chiefs have made this offseason?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know.
No wrong answers.
Hollywood Brown.
See, I'm between that and bringing Mike Dana back. I think Brown is going to produce more than Dana does. And I think that, and we heard Patrick Mahomes speak to it yesterday when he talked after OTAs. He spoke directly about, we got to bring the deep ball back. We've got to have that be a part of our offense in a way that it really hasn't been since they traded Tyreek Hill 2 years ago. And Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy are going to bring that element back to the Chiefs passing game and make the field a lot bigger for the Chiefs on offense. So I do. I love the addition of Hollywood Brown. I think for a one-year deal is just really, really smart business. And he's going to make their receiving core better than it was last year. My argument for Dana being the second most important move goes back to what we were saying about Charles Omenihu. I don't have any idea when Charles Omenihu is going to see the field again this season. Like, ACL injuries aren't what they used to be. They used to be career ending just about. But, like, it's not automatically 1 year. It used to be like, 1 year, forget about it. It might be 8 months. You know, maybe he's practicing towards the end of preseason. Maybe he's back mid-season.
Well, he practicing and then playing in the game appear to be two different things across the NFL when it comes to people coming back from injuries. I mean,
that's true.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers, who, say what you want to say about the guy, he tried to come back last year after his Achilles injury. He was practicing.
Yeah.
He practiced, but never played. He took the first team reps for a little bit.
Yeah.
Never played.
Right.
So we could see him practice. And I have the ACL because of two players on my favorite team in the last 10 years, 12 years that have tried to come back and have completely derailed their careers or changed things. And RG3 and then Chase Young trying to come back and having infections and things just that you don't think could go wrong. Like with Chase Young, he was supposed to be ready to go, but he had an infection in the knee.
Right.
And then he had to go get another surgery to replace whatever they had replaced. And it just took a lot longer than expected.
Right.
So while they're so revolutionary in these things, there's just infections that can come about.
Yeah. So there's
no timetable.
Yes. That's the best way to sum it up. There's not really a clear cut timetable for when Charles Omenihu is going to come back. So maintaining a guy like Mike Dana, who has experience in the defense, can kick inside on some passing downs if you need him to, can be versatile, has a track record of production as a pass rusher in this league. I think that keeping a player of his caliber was really important. And doing so on a 3-year deal, man, good for him. A guy, if you go from third-round pick to a 3-year deal on your second deal, that's a tremendous success for a player like Mike Dana. So we have one text in from the Top Emails Play text line. It says, I agree with Spencer about bringing Hollywood Brown in. So that was the other best move of the offseason for the Chiefs. I want to run through what Mike Sando said the best moves that other AFC contenders made as well. For Baltimore, he says the Derrick Henry signing.
Clearly.
I think that's pretty clear that was the best thing they've done this offseason. For Buffalo, Sando says the best thing they did was get rid of Stephon Diggs. He says trading Stephon Diggs, and I want to quote him directly instead of paraphrasing here. He says, trading Stephon Diggs instead of prolonging a broken marriage allowed the Bills to set a new course on offense. Removing Diggs could promote a welcome cultural reset in Buffalo. That's a fascinating viewpoint
Yeah.
that you could take on that move. For Cincinnati, bringing back Von Bell in the secondary, I think I agree with that. That back end for Cincinnati was not nearly as proficient without Bell and Jesse Bates last year. So bringing back Von Bell to pair with some guys who took a step forward in the absence of those two last year, I think is a big deal. For Houston, he says signing Danico Autry, one of the most underrated players in the game, I think, Danico Autry. I think that is a good addition for Houston. For Miami, he writes signing Odell Beckham. And that's why most people don't actually consider Miami in the AFC contender tier. If that's the best thing they did.
Yeah.
They continue to just be so one-dimensional.
So they signed a washed player that's often injured.
I think he's washed too.
Like
we all
I think he's kind of seen his day. Like
young Odell Beckham was unbelievable. It's true, but
it seems like the Giants have that. They always have a guy that's really good at the receiver position that makes the amazing happen. And they're just one-tier players. Like I'm going back to their Super Bowl run with David Tyree.
Mm-hmm.
After he did that, whatever happened to him?
Nothing.
After Odell caught the one-handed catch, he was good for another couple of years, and then he had the problems, and they sent him he went to Cleveland, and then he had the problems there, and then he's just kind of been a traveling circus ever since.
Of those moves by the AFC contenders, which of them do you think is the best decision, best move an AFC contender made this offseason?
I've got to go with the Ravens continuing to uptick their running game. You put Derrick Henry with Lamar Jackson's running ability and the guys that they already have on the roster at the running back position, on top of Lamar's ability to throw the ball with the guys that he has there, including Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
I think that's an offense that can just pop off.
Yeah, it's a statement of intent signing because they lost a lot of running backs this offseason. J.K. Dobbins is out the door. Was never healthy anyway, but now he's gone. And Gus Edwards is gone. He was such a big part of their running game last year.
Keaton Mitchell, right?
Keaton Mitchell. Yeah, he's coming back from the knee injury last year. He'll be really exciting. The Lightning to combine with Derrick Henry's Thunder. But that was a statement of intent signing to say that, this is still our identity. Yes, we've got the best wide receiver pass catcher group that Lamar Jackson's ever had, but our identity is smash mouth running the football, and that's going to remain our identity. And to prove it, we're going to bring in a tank of a running back in Derrick Henry, who, he's 30, but he's still got some juice. There's no question he's still got the ability to be part of, even if he's not a 250 carry a year guy anymore, he can still be effective in a part-time or a job share role. So I do. I think that was that of the moves we listed here, I thought that was the best one. We'll take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. Step aside. When we come back, it's that time. We'll play What Is Wrong With You on the other side here on 580 Sports Talk. What is wrong with you time on 580 Sports Talk? 2 news stories to compete to try and knock out our current weekly champion. The finger gun holdup, the shirtless Florida man who stormed into a Wendy's, an empty Wendy's at 11:30 at night and said he was going to hold the place up with his finger guns. Held the place at finger gun point. That is our current weekly champion, but we got 2 news stories today. Spencer, why don't you lead us off?
All right. Well, I'm going to continue my thing for these stories that has to do with food being thrown.
Okay.
Because it feels like a lot of the times in the last 3 weeks that I've had a story, it's been about somebody hurling something at someone and them being hurt by it.
All right.
In quotations, because sometimes I don't know how you get hurt by certain things. But we'll go to, where else would we go to? Florida. A Florida woman was arrested Tuesday night after allegedly striking a man in the neck with a thrown cinnamon roll. Cops say Anne Marie Luna, 37, chucked the food item at the back of the 49-year-old victim's head, quote, striking him at the base of the neck, end quote. The cinnamon roll incident occurred at a transitional housing facility in St. Petersburg, Florida. An arrest affidavit does not reveal a motive for the alleged cinnamon roll attack, which was recorded by security cameras. After being read her rights, Luna, seen at the rights, there's a photo here of her in jail, as you can see.
Yeah.
She admitted to tossing the delicacy. The affidavit indicates that no weapon was seized by investigators. The victim was not injured by the cinnamon roll, but, quote, wishes prosecution, end quote, police noted. Charged with misdemeanor battery, Luna was booked in a county jail from which she was released last night after posting the $500 bond. While a judge has ordered Luna to stay away from the victim, she is still legally permitted to have contact with the frosted pastries.
So if there was ever a weapon I was going to seize as an investigator, it would be a cinnamon roll. I would make sure that went to evidence with me. As long as it didn't land, it probably land on the floor.
If it hit somebody in the neck, though, I don't know.
5-second rule. If it landed safely on a table by some chance, though, I might do it. Man, what a waste of a cinnamon roll. Why would you throw a cinnamon roll at somebody?
I mean, we've had Pop-Tart being thrown.
Burgers, hot dogs.
There wasn't
gas station.
Hey, there wasn't any icing that left any residue.
No icing residue on this. That's a positive. Yeah, man, why would a perfectly good cinnamon roll? Man, I love cinnamon rolls. Yeah. I'd eat one right now. I would eat one right now in 15 seconds. Just demolish a cinnamon roll. I love them so much. Yeah. Anyway, for my story today, we're going to Japan.
Wow. International.
Yeah, we're going to Japan, where a 55-year-old woman in Kanagawa Prefecture was arrested on suspicion of obstructing business. What does that mean, you might ask? Well, she had a habit of calling the police 1,200 times over an 8-day span.
What?
From December 20th to December 27th. Each call was reportedly full of abusive shouts to the effect of, "Why are you even here?" and "Merry Christmas, die." It should be noted that in Japanese, shouting "die" at someone tends to have more of a bleep you sort of feel to it rather than actually wishing death on someone. It's not actually considered to be a fatal threat. It's just like saying bleep you, basically. So, "Merry Christmas, die." Upon her arrest, the woman was unsurprisingly uncooperative, simply telling police that she didn't remember anything. So, that's the whole story. This woman was having a rough holiday and took it out on local police, and after a lengthy investigation, she was arrested.
She sounds like a toxic ex.
55-year-old woman, nothing better to do than call the cops 1,200 times over an 8-day span. So let's do a little math here. 8 days. 8 times 24 is 192 hours, right?
Yes.
Let's say 16 of those are waking hours a day. So let's go 8 times 16. Let's go 128 hours. 1,200 times over 128 hours. She was calling them 9 times an hour.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, die. Talk to you again in 5 minutes.
Yeah. What is that? What is that over a 60-minute? 9? It's like every
9 times over the course of 60 minutes. Every 5 minutes. Yeah. Every 5, 6, 7 minutes.
Jeez Louise.
Why are you even here? Man, that would send me into an existential crisis. Somebody
think-
kept calling me and asking me why I was even there. I mean, man, I don't know, man. What do you mean?
I think as crazy as your story is, it wins the day.
She called 1,200 times
that's just crazy.
over an 8-day
You have
span.
to be like dedicated.
Yeah.
Like, what else you're doing? Nothing with your life besides calling them.
Between the 20th and the 27th means Christmas was part of it. Means that is how she spent her Christmas day, was calling the police and telling them to die.
I love how this story just came out, though.
Yeah, well, lengthy, what do you call it? Investigation. The woman said she didn't remember anything, so they had to go prove it. She didn't confess. They had to go make sure the case was airtight, and they took a voice sample, probably the whole thing. So, if that's our winning story today, does it beat the finger gun holdup? I say no.
No.
I think that one is still really strong. Yeah. And the finger gun holdup lives to fight another day on What Is Wrong With You. Coming up, we got more 580 Sports Talk after this, live from West Ridge Mall. The Topeka area Catbackers 40th Annual Summer Tour is here tonight. And we'll talk about that next here on 580 WIBW. We're 42 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Spencer Trenton with you today. Brendan Dworzinski on vacation. He'll be back next week. We are live at West Ridge Mall, just outside the food court. Tonight, the 40th annual Topeka Area Catbackers Summer Tour is scheduled. A 6 o'clock start here at the food court. And here to tell us a little bit about it is a board member from the Topeka Area Catbackers, Jody Roberts. Jody, welcome.
Thank you.
Jody, this is obviously a highlight of the year for a lot of your folks, and certainly for the Topeka Area Catbackers. Tell us a little bit about what people who are Catbackers, what people who come out tonight can expect to see, who's going to be here, and what the program will involve.
Well, we have a lineup of coaches as well as athletes. We're going to have some cheerleaders, maybe Classy Cats, I'm not sure. And, of course, Willie the Wildcat will be here, and everybody will have opportunities to visit with them, have photographs taken, and get autographs. And we have a nice long lineup of live auction items that our auctioneer will take care of. And then I think we have about 118 silent auction items that are on the tables over here with bid sheets. So a lot of opportunities.
Give us an idea of some of the things that will be, obviously it's a pretty long list, as you said, 118 items for the silent auction, but for that and for the live auction too, which will be its own thing. What kind of items can people bid on?
On the silent auction tables, we have got artwork, a lot of K-State paraphernalia, clocks, clothing, banners, a lot of K-State. I do also have a lot of gift certificates from local merchants that were very generous to donate that aren't K-State related, but a lot of restaurant gift certificates, which everybody loves.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And then the live auction, some similar items as well.
Yes, I've got a list over there. I didn't bring it with
me.
No,
that's quite all right.
Those are items that K-State provides.
Okay.
The Alumni Association, the athletic department provide those. So those will be some artwork pieces, some autographed artwork.
Very cool.
We have our annual parking pass, our football parking pass that will be auctioned off. I have a beautiful 14-karat gold power cap pendant with a diamond on it, valued at $800 and some that will be part of the live auction also.
Very, very cool. We're talking to Jody Roberts, board member of the Topeka Area Catbackers. Jody, we were talking earlier, Spencer and I, that it feels like there's so much excitement around K-State athletics right now. How are you with the Catbackers sort of seeing that sort of reflected in your membership and in events like this? Are you sensing that increase in excitement and belief in what K-State athletics is doing right now?
It's growing, and Coach Tang's arrival has really sparked it. I remember back when Coach Snyder was on board, and he drew the crowds. And we're feeling that very same thing with Coach Tang now. He will actually be our final speaker tonight.
Very cool.
Everybody's excited to hear him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The Catbackers Association itself, open to anyone. You don't have to have even been an alumnus to join the Catbackers.
No, and I am not. So yes, it's a $20 membership a year. We get your contact information and email, and we stay connected with you through emails. We do have a Facebook page that anybody is able to go to and stay in touch with us and our activities that we do throughout the year.
Jody, we appreciate you taking the time. I want to remind folks again that Topeka Area Catbackers is the website, TopekaAreaCatbackers.com. There's membership information. There's information about the golf tournament coming up in June. And if you want to become a member, that is a place to go check out, TopekaAreaCatbackers.com. Or I would imagine you could sign some people up tonight here if you wanted.
We are taking memberships. We also issue award, I should say, an annual scholarship.
Yes.
To a K-State student, either a senior high school student that's going to K-State or a current K-State student that's returning. We do a $1,000 scholarship annually for our area here. Yes. And we will be awarding her tonight with her check.
Very cool. And then the proceeds of the auctions go to that too as well.
It goes for athletic scholarships and our local scholarship. Yes. Both.
Outstanding. Well, it's a great event, and thank you so much for having us out to be a part of it and for telling us about it here.
You're welcome.
That is Jody Roberts from the Topeka Area Catbackers joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. The Topeka Area Catbackers 40th annual summer tour is getting underway. The silent auction items are already out if you want to come and check those out here. We're at the food court at West Ridge Mall. The program itself will start at 6. Cheerleaders, Willie the Wildcat, coaches and players from K-State football and basketball, and I guess Jerome Tang's in the keynote spot tonight. He's going to be the last speaker.
I was hoping he might show up early. Who knows?
Yeah, if he wants to come out, he and I we'll stand in line to Love Me Tenders, and we'll eat some chicken and waffles, and we'll talk a little ball. If he wants to come out early, he's more than welcome.
Or if he wants to come sit on his headset right here,
that
would be amazing.
That too. Whatever Coach Tang wants, we'd be happy to have him. But no, it's going to be a great event here tonight, and we're excited to be here in service to the Topeka area Catbackers here, helping promote their great event, great causes for those scholarships that the live and the silent auctions donate to or contribute to as well. So thank you to Jody again for stopping by. Still a lot more to come on the show today. Want to wrap up this 4 o'clock hour. Going back to the article we were discussing, we were talking about Mike Sando of The Athletic, who's one of their main beat writers for the NFL. And he did an article about the best offseason move for each team. And we were talking about the moves that all of the AFC contenders made that were the best move. What about the AFC West? Here's what Sando has to say about the AFC West. Denver Broncos, using the 12th pick in the draft for Bo Nix could qualify as desperation. I'm just going to stop there for a second. If the best thing you've done in the offseason is something that, quote, could qualify as desperation, you have had a miserable offseason. You have had a really, really bad offseason. If the best thing you've done in the offseason is something that, quote, could qualify as desperation.
I feel like we say that a lot lately with Sean Payton-led teams.
Denver Broncos, period.
Yeah.
I think we say that a lot about them.
But, I mean, like when his waning years with the Saints, they had to cut a lot of people.
Are you telling me you think he was losing his touch?
No, I think that they just didn't make financial decisions great in the front office, signing players, because it seems like his latter teams in New Orleans were always over the cap, and the Broncos were as well this year.
So let me continue with what Sando had to say. Using the 12th pick in the draft for Bo Nix could qualify as desperation. But with Broncos coach Sean Payton endorsing the move so emphatically, I'm intrigued to see how this plays out. Offensive coaches sometimes love to complain about the quarterbacks they inherit, as Payton did last season. It's refreshing when they bet their reputations on a prospect, as Payton has done here. Here's the thing about this. Sean Payton bet his reputation on Drew Brees, but Drew Brees was an established NFL player when Sean Payton bet his reputation on Drew Brees. We already knew that Drew Brees was an NFL caliber starting quarterback. That was known. There were questions about how he was going to perform after the shoulder injury and the surgery at the end of his tenure with the Chargers, but there was no questioning that Drew Brees could play. And they went on to have a Hall of Fame career. But that's the quarterback that we're giving Sean Payton credit for. We're giving him credit for seeing a guy play in the league for 4 years and say, yeah, actually, I do think he's good. Yeah, so did a lot of people. Good for you, yeah. Sean Payton, great call. Also, there was, towards the end of his tenure in New Orleans, a lot of belief in Taysom Hill. And I don't know if you know this, Taysom Hill hasn't started a whole lot of games in the NFL at quarterback.
Taysom Hill is a gadget player,
and then
that's it.
Then the other thing we're giving him credit for is all of the times he's said, you know, we were wanting to draft Patrick Mahomes too. We wanted to take him 11. The Chiefs, they sniped us, man. That was just
came up and took him 10.
Tough break for us because I'll tell you what, we really like Patrick Mahomes.
That say that about anybody after the fact.
That story gets regurgitated so much. Peyton is, I think he is intentionally feeding that. The media very clearly likes him. Like Sean Payton gets very friendly media, like Adam Schefter and the insiders of the world. They really like him. And so they just repeat this story credulously years after the fact that, oh, yeah, I really like Patrick Mahomes too. Yeah, I bet you did. I bet you did. You know who else I bet likes Patrick Mahomes in retrospect? Everybody else.
Yeah, all the teams.
So that's what we're giving Sean Payton credit for. Knowing Drew Brees, an established NFL starting quarterback, could be an established NFL starting quarterback. And years after the fact, knowing that Patrick Mahomes would be good in hindsight. And so that's the evidence we have that, oh, he's some kind of brilliant quarterback whisperer. And that's why we should give him credit in advance for Bo Nix. I'm not doing it.
Nope.
It's ridiculous. I'm not doing it. I'm not giving him that credit ahead of time. I don't know necessarily that Bo Nix is going to bust. I don't think he's going to be great.
No.
I don't think he's going to be a ceiling raiser for the Broncos organization, and I certainly don't think he's going to be that year one. But anyway, that's the best thing the Broncos have done this offseason, which tells you everything you need to know about the Broncos offseason.
Exactly.
As for the other teams in the AFC West, for the Raiders, it was the Christian Wilkins signing, which I not only think is one of the best moves that an AFC team has made, I think that's one of the best teams any team in the NFL has made. That's still a really bummy roster that the Raiders have. It's not real good, but you get better by adding high-end talent, and Wilkins was one of the best players on the market, and they didn't have to give up anything but money to go get him.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the best moves any team has made this entire offseason.
I would agree.
For the Chargers, it's the hiring of Jim Harbaugh, which
that makes sense.
Like getting a real coach.
Yeah.
Like, you say what you will about Jim Harbaugh. He can be a bit of a caricature, certainly a bit of a goober, but he has been to a Super Bowl and he just won a national championship. He has a defined coaching philosophy. Players seem to really like playing for him. I think there's going to be some success. I don't think it's going to happen right away. I think that roster is still too shallow, and that takes a couple of years to really fully address. But I do think the Chargers will get to a point where they're a lot more competitive, and we have to take them a lot more seriously as a result under Jim Harbaugh than we ever did under analytics boy Brandon Staley, who I never thought was actually all that good at the job, but got a lot of credit from the media because he could work a spreadsheet. And not just all the media, but just certain kinds of spreadsheet-friendly media. And I sound 80 years old complaining about spreadsheets, but here we are with Brandon Staley, because I think that was the bulk of what his positive reputation was. And as it turned out, he actually wasn't all that great a coach. So that's what the Athletics' Mike Sando had to say about the best moves this offseason for AFC contenders. That's going to put a bow on hour number 3 of 580 Sports Talk live at the West Ridge Mall ahead of tonight's Topeka area Catbackers 40th annual summer tour event featuring Jerome Tang and others. Get started at 6 o'clock. The food court will be open throughout. We invite you to come out and check it out and join us here at the West Ridge Mall food court. We'll be here for the final hour of the show. In the final hour, we're going to talk some Royals baseball. One ESPN writer doesn't quite believe in them yet. We'll tell you why. And we'll, of course, lead off the hour with our sports headlines and the playoff roundup. That's all coming up in the final hour of this Thursday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Final hour of the day here on 580 Sports Talk. The 5 o'clock hour on this Thursday edition of the show. I'm Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis alongside me at the West Ridge Mall Food Court in Topeka. In about 1 hour, the Topeka area Catbackers 40th annual summer tour event will get underway. People already starting to file in, claim their seats, check out the silent auction items.
A lot of good stuff there. I just glanced when I was making my walk around.
Yeah, I think 118 different silent auction items are available.
There's a Masters hat from this year.
2 of them. There's a green one and a blue one. You
Which
can
are
bid
the
on.
ones that you can only buy at the Masters.
You can only buy any Masters thing at the Masters, unless you're at the silent auction, and then you can buy one. You can buy one here. The food court is open. Lots of great new options. If you haven't checked out the new and improved West Ridge Mall Food Court, what better time than tonight to go see what's happening at Love Me Tenders or Boxer Q Barbecue, see what Rosie is up to, Rosie's Foods, and also Taco as well as part of the new and improved West Ridge Mall Food Court. They are encouraging folks, if you are coming out to this event tonight, to park on the north side of West Ridge Mall. That would be by the Petland entrance, by where the Sears used to be. The north part, the north side of West Ridge Mall is where you are being encouraged to park if you are coming out to the Topeka area Catbackers event. They've got some cool live auction items, too. How about they're auctioning off a Harley ride for Harley Day, which is the Arizona game. Friday night will be Harley Day, that September 13th game. There's a Super Bowl champs, Kansas City Chiefs canvas that'll be up for bid. How about from a Wildcat to a Cowboy, Cooper Beebe autographed helmets, a K-State and a Dallas Cowboys helmet signed by the new Dallas Cowboy and K-State All-American offensive lineman Cooper Beebe. 4 tickets to a women's basketball game where you would be the honorary coach for a non-conference game. That's pretty sick. Sweet. Also a pair of courtside seats for a women's basketball game as well. A 14-karat gold necklace with a Power Cat pendant and a season-long football parking pass. Also, lots of great stuff. And the live auction, that's in addition to the silent auction items we were just talking about. And, of course, the proceeds go to athletic scholarships, NIL, and the scholarship fund, the high school scholarship fund. They're going to award their Power Cat scholarship to a local student now attending Kansas State as well.
I've got my eye on one of the silent auction items.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's the bourbon they have. The K-State bourbon.
The Wabash Reserve?
Yeah, I'm a big bourbon guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's there are a lot of people hovering around that. That might be a pretty popular one. Not gonna lie to
you. I've recently joined one of our partners, the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits. They have like a thing where you can get in like a lottery system.
Is that right?
For their allocated bourbons.
How about that?
Yeah. So
look at that. You are a bourbon guy.
Yeah.
Who knew? We're learning new things about Spencer Dupuis this afternoon. So you better get here if you want to outbid Spencer for the bourbon. But there's lots of other cool things: flags, watches, other memorabilia, lots of gift cards to local restaurants, both here and in Manhattan. So come on out and check it out.
There's a Chris Kleiman signed helmet or football.
Yes. There's one of those as well. It's the 40th annual Topeka area Catbackers summer tour stop at West Ridge Mall in Topeka. Thanks again to the Catbackers for having us out here tonight. Still to come in this 5 o'clock hour, there's an ESPN writer who is still a little skeptical about the boys in blue, but I don't think his logic makes a lot of sense. We're going to fisk David Schoenfield a little bit, and it's nothing personal. I just think that the argument he's making for one AL Central team and the argument he's making against the Royals are like the same argument, but one is a positive and one is a negative. I don't know. I don't understand. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And by way of doing so, we'll discuss what it is that has made the Cleveland Guardians just as successful, and according to the standings, more successful than the Royals have been to start this 2024 campaign. But we're going to start this 5 o'clock hour, as we always do, with our 580 Sports Talk headlines. We begin today with more Big 12 baseball tournament updates, and The tournament journey is over for the K-State Wildcats. You heard it here this morning on 580 WIBW. The Batcats fall to TCU 9-4. TCU scored early and often, and they hang on for the 5-run victory. K-State closed within 7-4 in the middle innings, but TCU was able to push the lead back out to 5 runs late and pull out the win to eliminate Kansas State. And now a nervous couple of days for the Wildcats before the 64-team postseason field is selected. K-State should feel better about selection this year than they did last year. They've got a better resume. They've got a better RPI. A lot of people in the know believe they're going to find their way into the field of 64, but they could have they obviously could have secured their spot if they just won the conference tournament, but another win or two this week in Arlington would have gone a long way. So
they feel a little bit better than they would have having not won a single game.
Yes. Kendall Rogers, who I think is as good a college baseball expert as there is out there. He is in charge at D1Baseball.com. He said it after they lost to KU in the tournament opener. Yeah, it would probably be good for K-State to get a win out here. They don't want to go 0-2. It'd be nervous time for K-State if they went 0-2. And then they went out. Not only did they get a win, they beat a good West Virginia team, number 4 seed in the tournament. So that win probably enough, but you never know. It's a selection committee, and they are, as much as we try to predict, they are and remain inscrutable. So we'll see what the fate of the Batcats is this weekend when the 64-team regional field is selected. Kansas also in action this afternoon. They had beaten K-State on the first day of the tournament. They got yesterday off today, back in action against the tournament's number 1 seed, Oklahoma, and they took a 7-5 loss. So KU is 1 loss away from elimination. They play TCU. They get the baseball for breakfast time slot. The Jayhawks and the Horned Frogs, 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. If K-State wins, or KU wins, they would play immediately following against Oklahoma. They get Oklahoma again in another elimination game tomorrow afternoon. So that's what's happening at the Big 12 baseball tournament. That's your first 580 Sports Talk headline. Spencer, what's your first headline today?
My first headline is some non-con scheduling for Kansas. Matt Norlander has done a lot of work today and over the last few weeks about kind of working out who these non-con games are going to be against. I believe part of this that we did know that they were going to play, just not where they were going to play. But Matt Norlander tweeted earlier today, in talking to sources as of late, the working plan for Duke and KU in the years to come. This year they'll play in Vegas as part of a Vegas showdown, part of a doubleheader with Furman and Seattle being the other game, November 26th. But they're working to play annually, which is going to be a huge benefit for all of college basketball. 25, they're set to play in the Champions Classic at MSG, according to Norlander. 26 and 27 is set to be a home and home, according to Norlander, with the dates not exactly, or the venue's not figured out just yet. And then they'll play again in the Champions Classic in 28. If it's still a thing by then, is what he said in his reporting earlier. Also, according to Norlander, they've added a home and home series with NC State for the next 2 seasons. The first game will be December 14th of this year at Allen Fieldhouse. NC State will host in 2025. So 2 ACC teams are going to be on your non-con going forward.
Very interesting to schedule NC State back-to-back years. Obviously, NC State's coming off of a Final Four appearance, and it's not a blue blood program. It's a proud program with some good history and good crowds typically at PNC Arena. So that'll be fun. Like I would rather Power 5 basketball schools play each other in the non-con than play a bunch of bye games.
Yeah.
And look, you're never going to not play bye games. Like those still have a place. They are important for player development, and frankly, for the schools that come and take the bye games, they're important for paying for the athletic department's costs, like covering costs. I think that some of the HBCUs, like the SWAC schools, if they get a bye football game against like Clemson or Texas A&M or somebody, that floats their athletic department for the whole year.
Yeah.
Like those games are still like they have a place and they're never going to go away.
Just not as many.
You're never going to see KU, K-State, Big 12 schools not play. Like KU played Southern Utah last year, I think it was. K-State played Chicago State. Like those games are always going to be there, but less of those and more games like going to play North Carolina State in a home and home. I think that's really good.
Yeah, and according to the college basketball report, the 2024 non-con schedule is looking strong. According to sources, still playing UNC at home. Michigan State in the Champions Classic.
Right.
At Creighton for the Big 12 Big East battle, the last year of it, right?
Yes, this is the last year of the Big 12 Big East battle.
Obviously, you're adding Duke in Las Vegas to that, NC State at home, and then they're going to be at Missouri. That's as it stands right now.
As much as I don't like the neutral site games, at least that it's a prelude to a home and home.
Yeah.
And Duke and Kansas playing a home and home is awesome. Like from a strictly college basketball perspective, for those two programs to play each other on campus sites, because we have been used to the Champions Classic's been around over a decade now. So we're getting used to seeing KU Duke every 3 years. And KU Michigan State. KU Kentucky play a lot, it feels like. They played in the SEC Big 12 Challenge, and that was a thing. They used to play, it felt like, every other year in that, in addition to playing in the Champions Classic. So it's not a matchup that's totally foreign, but the idea of seeing it at Allen Fieldhouse or seeing Bill Self stalk the sideline at Cameron Indoor is still a really tantalizing thought.
Yeah.
And good for college basketball, good for both of those programs for playing those games. By the way, I don't know if you saw this. November 26th this year in Las Vegas, that's when KU is going to play Duke.
Yeah.
That is part of a 2-game event. Do you know what the other game is?
I did say it. Furman and Seattle.
Furman and Seattle. Folks, I cannot conceive of a more random college basketball game than Furman. You know where Furman is?
Is it in Virginia?
No, it's in. I thought it was. No, I'm thinking of Fordham. Furman is, I believe, in Virginia.
No, it's
Fordham.
in Greenville, South Carolina.
Oh, South Carolina. What am I
Thinking of Furman.
I'm thinking, yes, Furman and Fordham. I'm thinking of Fordham.
I was
thinking of
Furman, which is a college in Virginia.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I've never heard of that. Furman, South Carolina. Our bad. We're not geography majors here. Playing Seattle in Las Vegas. It feels like something a video game would spit out. It is so delightfully random. I love it so much. I hope that people who buy KU Duke tickets also come to that game. I hope Furman and Seattle get to play in front of 18,000 people. That would rule.
I would just, whoever goes to Furman and Seattle, those alumni, just like, hey, that's an excuse for us to go to Vegas and watch a huge college basketball game.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Then watch our teams.
I'm sure that the ticket allotment for Furman and Seattle will be a little smaller than the ticket allotment for the Duke and Kansas contingents. Let's just say, I don't think they're going to make as many tickets available to the folks in South Carolina as they do to KU and Duke fans. Next headline here on our 580 Sports Talk headlines. The ongoing Scottie Scheffler saga continued today with the release of some video footage and a press conference today held by the Louisville Metro Police Department. Scheffler, you'll recall, was arrested early on the Friday morning of the second round of last week's PGA Championship, charged with a felony and 3 misdemeanors. And in a press conference today, the Louisville Metro Police Department announced they have taken corrective action against the police officer who arrested Scheffler because he didn't activate his body cam video recorder. A police officer not activating their body cam? Are you kidding? Oh, my God.
I also read he has a long history.
We're going to get there. We're going to get there. During the news conference, Police Chief Jacqueline Gwynn Villarroel announced that Detective Brian Gillis violated the department's standard operating procedures for body-worn cameras. She said that Gillis was counseled by a supervisor. The violation will be noted in his personnel file. Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg spoke at this press conference as well and said that there's no video available of Gillis's initial interaction with Scheffler, but There was also video released captured by a fixed security camera on the other side of the road. And one of the videos appears to show Scheffler's SUV turning into the golf club entrance, prompting an officer to sprint towards the vehicle and seemingly strike it as it comes to a stop. I don't know at what point the $80 pants that Detective Gillis was wearing were damaged beyond repair, but you could not see any pant damage taking place in the video. It is really not a flattering video for the police officer.
No.
It looks like he is just completely out of control.
It looks like he jumped onto the little side rail.
Yes.
And that was the moving 10 to 15 feet. Scheffler having to stop.
Right.
Was realizing what was going on. Oh, I got to stop.
Scheffler faces charges of second-degree assault of a police officer, third-degree criminal mischief, reckless driving, and disregarding traffic signals from an officer directing traffic. The assault charge is a felony. There had been some reporting that the charges were likely to be dropped. That is not the case. They are, at least for now, proceeding with the charges. Now, because Detective Gillis is caught up in this case, there is some more information that is coming out about Detective Gillis, and apparently he's got a less than stellar track record in his career as a police officer. I'm trying to find the tweet about it, and the Twitter search is really not functioning in a way that I need it to function. But suffice it to say, he's got some marks on his record
dating back to 2013,
all the way back to 2013. Like, he was doing donuts in a car with somebody in the car with him, I believe.
I believe that person was drunk, if I read that correctly.
Yeah, my internet connection has been lost.
He missed court appearances.
Yeah, missed a bunch of court appearances.
He had an accident.
Yeah, he's no.
He's been suspended quite a few days.
Yeah, he's no Matlock. Like, is what we're saying here. I apologize. We're having a bit of an internet connectivity
He's
issue.
had 5 written reprimands before this.
Yeah, 5 written reprimands. That's what it was. So, not a sterling reputation for Officer Gillis, perhaps, but he is the officer. He is the officer in question here. So that is the headline. Charges will still be pursued against Scotty Scheffler, even though the video appears to show that the officer was pretty out of pocket. So onward, Spencer, with your next headline.
All right, my next headline is NBA media rights. This has been an ongoing discussion of late because the NBA media rights are up. From what we know, the NBA has kind of been very stringent on the couple national media rights that they've had, but that's changing. They are all but done with staying with ESPN, adding Amazon Prime Video, which obviously the NFL did first with Thursday Night Football, as Amazon continues to get into the sports streaming aspect. They've also added NBC Sports Group, where they'll have games on NBC and on USA TV. But Warner Brothers Discovery, which is the merged TNT Sports, they're going to lose games after next season, which also means we're going to lose the best college basketball pre-halftime and post-game show.
NBA, you mean?
Or NBA, yes.
Yeah, so TNT is out, reportedly, and certainly Charles Barkley's been doing the media rounds lately. I think he was on with Dan Patrick today, and all but confirmed that this is happening, that TNT, the Turner networks, are losing the NBA. And I can't believe David Zaslav is screwing that up. Like, I cannot believe. Like, he's never going to live that down. He is going to be the executive that lost the NBA.
Yeah.
And that's going to be very difficult for him to live down. That being said, I would rather lose inside the NBA while it's still great and vital than have it continue on too long.
Yeah, some have said maybe they could sell the rights to the inside NBA and
Yeah, Barkley himself was saying like we could take it independent, or like we could do something that's totally different from what they've had going on Turner. But Ernie Johnson is a Turner employee.
Yeah.
Like Ernie Johnson's not going anywhere. He's got baseball stuff that he does. Like it couldn't be Chuck and Kenny and Shaq, but without Ernie, it's not inside the NBA.
No, who would you get to host it? I don't even know.
It wouldn't be inside the NBA without Ernie Johnson. I just know that.
But NBC is getting back into things. They recently lost the NHL to TNT Sports that TNT has gotten. So it's kind of a give and take, I guess, if you will. But TNT Sports did get a win. They and ESPN agreed to a 5-year agreement for TNT Sports to sub-license select college football playoff games from ESPN starting this year. That was announced yesterday. TNT Sports will present 2 first-round CFP games during the 24 and 25 seasons. In addition to first-round games, TNT Sports will add 2 quarterfinal games each year. Starting in 26 through 28, they will be the primary network televising the sub-licensed CFP games among additional TNT Sports distribution platforms. That would be TBS and True TV.
Right.
But basically, they lost out on one thing that everyone loves, but they are gaining football. But I believe it'll be a ESPN production.
They can put Charles on the football too. I mean, they put him on the college basketball.
They had him in hockey.
Yeah,
they had him on.
He does love the
post.
He does love the hockey.
Yeah,
put him on the college football too. He didn't have to know anything about it. we'll watch Chuck talk about whatever. For our final 5A Sports Talk headline, it is time for the playoff roundup. Trenton Craxner back at the studio. Fire me up. Give me the open.
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk Playoff Roundup.
We had dual action last night as the conference finals got underway in the National Hockey League. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals goes to the Florida Panthers, trying to return to the Stanley Cup final in back-to-back years. Panthers blanked the New York Rangers 3-0 in Game 1 last night at Madison Square Garden. Major statement made by the Panthers. Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals is tonight as the Edmonton Oilers visit the Dallas Stars. In the NBA last night, the Dallas Mavericks surprised the Minnesota Timberwolves in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, a 108-105 win. Luka Doncic, 33 points. Kyrie Irving, 30 points. The next Michael Jordan failed to score 20 points for the third time in 4 playoff games. I thought Ant-Man was the next Michael Jordan, guys. I thought Ant-Man was the next Michael Jordan. He's shooting 34% over his last 4 playoff games. What's the deal? I thought this was MJ.
Guess not.
I thought this was Michael Jordan. I'm going to be so salty about that for as long as he's still in the playoffs. You understand this. I'm still upset. I'm still sad. It should not be. I'm still sad. I'm still angry, and I'm still sad. And I'm going to take it out on Anthony Edwards. Every time he has a bad game, I take it out on him. A young man needs to be humbled. I sound like, remember Iron Sheik on Twitter? It wasn't really him. It was somebody running the account, like very profane, talking about breaking people's backs and making them humble and saying all kind of other flagrant out-of-pocket stuff that I can't repeat on the radio. I'm not going to say that stuff about Anthony Edwards, but I do think somebody needs to make Anthony Edwards humble. And maybe it'll be the Mavericks. That would be very funny if the Minnesota built to beat one team and they do it, and then they lose their next round. Like, be funny to me anyway. Dallas wins Game 1 of the conference finals out west. Tonight, Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Boston looks to go up 2-0 on the Indiana Pacers. If they do not enter Game 2 bozo mode, as they have done in each of their first 2 series, losing Game 2 to inferior opponents in Miami and Cleveland, I suspect Boston will be just fine today.
Yeah.
That's your playoff roundup. Like I said, these are going to get real brief. As we
have less games to discuss.
Yes, a lot fewer games to discuss, and no personal interest or intrigue in any of the games. So that's your playoff roundup. Those are your 580 Sports Talk headlines. We're going to take a break. When we come back, one ESPN writer says he's not so convinced that this Royals 32-19 start is for real. We'll talk about it here on 580 WIBW. It is getting really purple over here where we're at.
Very purple. I mean, people are crowding in here.
It's not a coincidence. We are at Westridge Mall over in the food court here in Topeka on 580 Sports Talk for the 40th annual Topeka area Catbackers summer tour stop. The program gets underway right when we go off the air, 6 o'clock this evening. Going to be lots of special guests. Head basketball coach Jerome Tang will be the keynote speaker tonight. There's going to be a live auction, a silent auction, and an opportunity to sign up for the Topeka area Catbackers. If you are not a member and would like to be, they'll get you signed up tonight. All you got to do is come out to Westridge Mall to be a part of the program and check out the silent auction items. They're all laid out. Some of the live auction items include some artwork, a couple of signed mini helmets by former K-Stater, future Dallas Cowboy Cooper Beebe, some courtside seats for a women's basketball game this coming season, a gold necklace, 14-karat gold with a Power Cat pendant, a big some artwork, Wild About the Wildcat mascot artwork that has been donated by the Alumni Association, a Harley ride on Harley Day.
That's sick.
Yeah, it's real cool. That's all part of the live auction that's going to be coming up later tonight. Again, it's the Topeka area Catbackers 40th annual summer tour stop at Westridge Mall. It's taking place in the food court. If you are coming out to this event tonight, encourage you to park on the north side of Westridge Mall over by Petland. If you are making your way over here tonight, if it's part of your plans and you want to come and see this event, Petland is where they're telling you to park. That is,
and if you
where
don't come here often, if you're coming down Wanamaker from I-70, turn right at the Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, that's that would be how you do it. Yep.
That would be an easy way to describe some
Yes.
people that have never been here that are coming here.
So we're privileged to be here, and a lot of purple, a lot of lavender. Where do you stand on the lavender? I don't know if we've gotten your lavender opinion yet. Where do you stand on the K-State lavender?
Differentiates them.
I like it a lot.
I like it.
I like the shade. I like the basketball uniforms. I like the coaching staff all wearing the lavender. I think there need to be more lavender. I honestly, like, maybe it's just the basketball programs thing and it's how they want to keep it, but I think a lavender football jersey would be sick. Or a lavender helmet. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Lavender and purple Power Cat with the lavender. Oh, my God. Yeah, absolutely. Give me that. Need that. Yeah, lot of purple.
A lot of people pouring in here as we speak.
Lot of folks. We appreciate you being a part of it. We've seen some friendly faces. Said hello to some friendly faces out here at Westridge Mall. We appreciate you listening on 580 WIBW. Checking out the YouTube stream as well. YouTube.com/@580 Sports Talk. Search, subscribe. Brendan's gone, so now's the time to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. Be a part of the live chat. Hit us up on the Top City Metal Supply text line 785-272-9429. Before we get into this Royals topic, let's field a question from the YouTube live chat from our pal Jason. It says, you both have your favorite baseball teams. Would you rather listen on the radio or watch TV? I have so many memories listening to the Royals on the radio. I have always, growing up a Rockies fan, I always liked their radio broadcast better than their TV broadcast. When it comes to their TV broadcast, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. But their radio team is great. Washburn alumnus Jerry Schemmel is one of the play-by-play guys for the Rockies, along with Jack Corrigan. Yeah, and I love their radio broadcast. So a lot of times, Jason, because I am an MLB TV subscriber, I will put the game on TV, but you can choose your audio.
Yes, I love.
And I put the radio broadcast over the TV. You do that too?
So, fun fact, I had MLB TV a lot in college because there was times it was free for college students with their EDU account.
Sure.
Well, in one of my media classes, we were basically the assignment was create something that has to do with the profession you want to go into that would revolutionize what it is. Mine was bringing that across all sports. You pay a fee to join a website, and it does that for you.
Nice.
So you could pick your NFL team, your NFL team with their radio broadcast on it. You could pick your college team with their radio on it. You could do all of them.
Yeah, that is
because I love that feature. That's my favorite feature of MLB TV.
Very cool. Yeah, I like that idea. I think you're onto something.
I got an A+ on the assignment.
Nice. Well done. Not to your own horn. Why not? So thanks for the question, Jason. Thanks for hanging out with us this afternoon. Also, Vance checking in. Thank you for the update from 3A State Baseball. Hayden 2, Heston zip going into the 7th inning out at Toynton Family Stadium in Manhattan. So Hayden trying to advance. Shawnee Heights baseball lost earlier today. Spring Hill 5-2. Washburn Rural softball was a 2-1 winner over Blue Valley. Silver Lake a 10-0 winner over Cheney in 3A softball earlier today. So that's a Shawnee County stick and ball high school state tournament update for you here on 580 Sports Talk.
It is really packing out here.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be very crowded by the time we get out of here. David Schoenfield of ESPN.com wrote about 5 teams who are off to surprising starts. 5 teams that have gone from having playoff odds less than 50% on opening day to having playoff odds over 50% as things stand going into today. Those 5 teams are the Milwaukee Brewers, the Chicago Cubs, the San Diego Padres, the Cleveland Guardians, and the Kansas City Royals. And the crux of Schoenfield's article is, do we believe in these teams or not? Is this real or not? Well, 4 out of the 5 teams, Schoenfield believes their starts are for real. Cleveland, he says, is for real. Says, is Cleveland this good? Probably not. But this verdict is more affirmation that I believe they'll remain in the AL Central race all season. The Guardians are young and scrappy with a deep, dominant bullpen that can help cover a mediocre rotation. He says the Brewers are for real, the Cubs and the Padres too, but he's not buying the Royals. This is what Schoenfield had to say about the Royals. Quote, the offense so far has been top-heavy with Perez and Witt, and the bullpen hasn't been that great, with free agents Chris Stratton and Will Smith relatively ineffective. Like the Guardians, the offense has overperformed with runners in scoring position, so there is likely regression in that department. And if that happens, I don't see this lineup scoring enough runs. All that puts pressure on this rotation to keep performing at an extremely high level. That, to me, is kind of the fundamental difference with how the Guardians have started and how the Royals have started. The offensive profiles of both teams are really not that dissimilar. They're very top-heavy. Like right now, the almost did it. Jar, the Guardians, I was watching some old, I found a YouTube video last night, the 100 greatest Grand Slams of all time, right up my alley. I watched all 40 minutes of that sucker. And they had some old Cleveland baseball footage. So their old mascot and name is in the back of my head here. The Guardians, they are very top-heavy offensively. You look at their stats right now, it's Josh Naylor and Jose Ramirez and somebody named David Fry carrying that team on offense. They got a bunch of dudes that are below average. Stephen Kwan, excellent hitter, but he's been out for a couple of weeks. And he's going to be out for a couple more with an injury. So they are a really top-heavy offense in much the same way that it could be said that the Royals are as well, with Salvador Perez and Bobby Witt Jr. carrying the team so far. And the flip side for the Royals and the Guardians that is fundamentally different is while the Royals' pitching success has been predicated upon their starting rotation, for Cleveland it's been their bullpen. Their bullpen is crazy deep. You look at their bullpen, like all 8 guys, it seems like, have performed at a really high level. They've got the lockdown closer in Emmanuel Clase, Hunter Gaddis, Cade Smith, Scott Barlow, the ex-Royal, Nick Sandlin, Tim Herron's got an ERA below 1. Sam Hentges just got the call back up. He had been hurt, but he's been one of their best guys the last couple of years. It's a really good bullpen. I'm not trying to knock the Cleveland bullpen, but to me, I would rather hang my hat on a proficient starting rotation than with a shutdown bullpen. And here's why. You can overwork a bullpen.
Oh, yeah.
You can get to a point where a bullpen, by the time July and August rolls around, is running on fumes a little bit. Cleveland's bullpen, all of these guys I've mentioned, they're top 6 guys out of the bullpen. Clase, Gaddis, Sandlin, Barlow, and Smith have all pitched in at least 22 games already. These guys are having to carry a lot of weight for a starting pitching staff that's already missing Shane Bieber, and it has guys like Tristan McKenzie is out pitching his peripherals. He's struggled. Logan Allen's ERA is near 5. Tanner Bivey's ERA is near 4. Ben Lively is not going to keep doing what he's doing. They're really taxing the bullpen. And for me, I would rather have a starting pitching rotation that's lessening the load on a shaky bullpen than a bullpen that's great but is having to carry so much of this load already in late May.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I think that if you tax your bullpen too much, it only hurts you in the playoffs when you actually make it. If your starters are doing things to where they can stretch out and are not just going 5 innings, if they're going 7-8 innings, then you can more rely on your bullpen in the playoffs and later down the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I like the way a strong bullpen sets up for you in October.
Yes.
When you've got fewer games. But over the course of 162, I would rather take the pressure off of them and not have to lean on them as heavily as Cleveland has had to lean on theirs. So I think both teams offensively profile about the same. And both teams pitching-wise, you've got the Royals' strength is in the starters. The Cleveland strength is in the bullpen. But you're still talking about one side of the equation doing the heavy lifting for the other side when it comes to the pitching. For me, these are very similar profiles for these teams. So why do we believe in one team and not the other? Is it just we're giving Cleveland that much credit for being a team that has been around the postseason mix, that was a postseason team a couple of years ago, that has guys who played in the playoffs, and we're giving the Royals a demerit because they lost 109 games last year?
I think that he's saying their verdict, they're not real because they haven't done anything. What they're doing is just coming out of the gate hot. I think that's what he is thinking. Hey, they're just a hot team right now. They're going to sizzle too much, and they might make a wild card, but that's it. That's how I'm viewing his article.
There's also the criticism of the schedule, and like we talked about earlier, the Royals are 26-10 against teams that are under 500. That's a lot of games out of 51 against teams that are sub 500 and a lot of success. But if you're a good team, that's what you're supposed to do. Cleveland, by the way, they're 19-10 against teams currently under 500. They have a losing record against the White Sox. The Guardians are 3-4 against the White Sox this year.
Jeez. That's not something to hang your hat on.
The Royals are 6-1. Cleveland is 6-1 against Oakland. The Royals, of course, 3-0 against the A's, and they'll get to play them again later on. But I don't think there's a real big difference between what Cleveland is doing and what Kansas City is doing, to the point where I don't know how you can buy into Cleveland and not buy into Kansas City.
Exactly. I think it's what I said. Plus, it's the second team in the division. Right? They're both in the AL Central.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's only buying one team from each division.
Well, they could both be good. Like,
oh yeah,
like the Red Sox and the Yankees used to both be really good when they were in the same division. Like, one year the Dodgers won 105 games and didn't win the West because the Giants won 107 a couple of years ago. They could both be good, and I think they both are. Like, I'm not buying Cleveland either. I just think both teams are good, and I just don't know, like I said, how you can buy one team and not the other. We're going to take a break, come back, a little bit more 580 Sports Talk coming your way live from West Ridge Mall, the Topeka area Catbackers 40th Annual Summer Tour here at 580 Sports Talk. Short on time on this edition of 580 Sports Talk at Westridge Mall in Topeka for the Topeka area Catbackers 40th annual summer tour stop, getting underway just at the top of this 6 o'clock hour. Want to remind folks that they can come out. It's at the food court. They are recommending you park on the north side of Westridge Mall over by the Petland entrance at the mall if you want to most easily access the area. Seats are filling up. You've got sign-ups for the Catbackers, lots of prizes. The live auction is later. The silent auction is ongoing. It's going to be a great time. If you bleed purple, this is the place to be tonight at Westridge Mall for the 40th annual Topeka area Catbackers summer tour.
You can get autographs from players and former players.
Yes, there's going to be autographs. There's going to be speakers, players, coaches from men's and women's basketball and football. It is going to be a great time. If you bleed purple, this is the place to be tonight. We're going to take one final break, come back with a final word on 580 Sports Talk. Time for the final word. Spencer, start us off with a final word today.
This looks like a great event tonight. So if you're in the Topeka area, get down to Westridge Mall. If you like the Cats, even if you don't, there's a lot of stuff you can bid on that's non-Wildcats related. I'm excited to get home with the fam this weekend, see them. Haven't seen them since I moved out here. Excited to go to the Nats game as well. Now that's my final word.
That's awesome, and happy for you. And again, hope you have safe travels and enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Final word for me today is this. I don't understand why you would say, yeah, I'm all in on the Cleveland Guardians, but I'm not so sure about the Kansas City Royals. I just feel like they're really similar ball clubs at this point in the season. I think David Schoenfield of ESPN has that all backwards. I think you can believe in both of those teams. I think that Cleveland is good because of their bullpen, sure, and they've got a little bit more proven star power maybe in Jose Ramirez, but the Royals have star power. The Royals are hitting well with runners in scoring position. The Royals have great starting pitching, and I'll bet on starting pitching before I bet on a bullpen over the course of 162 games. So I am a fervent believer in the Royals this year. That's going to do it for this edition of 580 Sports Talk today. Again, thanks to the Topeka area Catbackers and the Westridge Mall for having us out today. The event is just about to get underway. We're going to have to vacate our table in a hurry. Gabby Gregory's going to sign way more autographs than we did over the last 4 hours, so we need to give up our table.
That was exactly 0.
Yes, that was exactly, although it's not too late. Somebody wants an autograph.
She's already signed more than us.
I'll sign one before we leave if anybody wants one. But we are done for today. Tomorrow we're live from 2 to 5. We'll be back in studio. It'll be just me and Trent tomorrow with both Brendan and Spencer on vacation. We'll talk to Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. We'll talk some Royals baseball, preview their series against Tampa Bay, and we'll crown a weekly champion of What Is Wrong With You. We'll have a great time from 2 to 5 tomorrow on the show. Until then, for producer-engineer Trenton Kraxner, for Spencer Dupuis, I'm Dan Lucero. Have a great rest of your Thursday. This has been 580 Sports Talk on 580 WIBW.